Yeah, welcome back in. 2 o'clock on a busy afternoon here as we get, we're back to positive territory, but a bit of a quiet session right now as far as the overall market is concerned, considering the size of the move we had to the downside after Barkin comes out and said some things that the market didn't like. First off, we'll get to that in a second. First off, yields right now across the board, session lows. The 30-year, the 10-year, you saw quickly there, the dollar giving some back right now as well. We did have a move back higher. You can see this is a daily chart, but we're right back down to basically where we ended the day yesterday for the US dollar. So overall, as far as yields are concerned and the dollar, we should get a little bit of help here possibly for stocks heading into the end of the day. Little one, VTVT up on a positive note for them today, 60% a pharmaceutical stock, or therapeutics, I think they are. Just tagged day highs there at 16 on huge volume, but quick reversal for VTVT. That's how the overall market's shaping up here. Yeah, some weakness in tech continuing this afternoon. Apple, Google, Microsoft, Meta, and retailers essentially, and some of the consumer brands, P&G, Coke, Pepsi, all downside at this point. Everything else basically positive on the day, including some of the chip names, NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, all in positive territory. Banks very strong as we get a dip in some of these inflation-related figures, including the ones we got this morning, suggesting that if we do get a cut, if we do get some multiple cuts, even going into next year, could improve the conditions for borrowing once again, which banks obviously like. There's the Qs right now. We did get the beige book. Again, if you're hearing this term beige book again, it's a collection of reports from regional Federal Reserve divisions essentially across the U.S. It's very, very lagging. So anything that comes out, typically in the beige book, it has already been digested by the overall market. We are seeing a little bit of a downtick there, but that just came through. We'll sift through some of those comments, but overall not really moving the market at all. Don't look now. I saw this and thought it was kind of ironic. 35% on the month in November for Ark Innovation Fund. That is their best month performance ever. So everyone wrote off Cathie Wood and Ark going back to the end of last year, but don't look now. Cathie Wood is back to the upside in a big way. GM was top of the list this morning. If you were with us in the pre-market, we were talking about this share buyback, $10 billion worth of a share buyback. They're still dealing with, obviously, the fallout or presumptive fallout for this their cruise division, self-driving division, essentially being shelved. 10% still. It's been a back and forth kind of a day, guys, for GM. Still holding on to support, though, at this point.
Yes, sir. Welcome, everybody.
GM.
I almost had our first muted mic incident of the day. It's interesting. It's been a while, and if you watch this show, you know that we, generally speaking, every now and then may or may not forget to turn our mics on before we speak. But Ramin has been absolutely fantastic with the reminders to make sure that we don't. Now, the only thing that Ramin has to do next would be to stick to the plan, Stan, or me, Neil. I'm not Stan, but that's what you do have to do when you're trading. Let's go over. If you talk about GM, the buyback, as far as I'm concerned, when you're buying back shares and you're increasing a dividend, it should be because you're flush with cash, and that's the best thing you can do with it. I don't necessarily think this is the best thing GM can do with their money. That said, they're up 10%. It was a beatdown name that got to a resistance level, and it is toyed with this resistance level, $32 previous resistance and previous support, pretty much all morning long. The market's starting to come in.
Let's go.
Just one thing to get to. I'm on the bid Meta 332. I'm looking to get out of that one at that price. And I have BABA. But every single time I was in GM outside of the initial trade, it was just a simple case of in at the wrong timing. Initial entry good on the fade underneath 32, but then in the wrong time. Good setup in here. Started to go, didn't, but should have come back to it. The one time I did not come back to the trade off 32 was right at the end of the show at 11 o'clock. I'm not going to front. We ended the morning show. Get up. Go to the can, get some, whatever it happens to be, but that was the moment to get back into 32. That was the thesis. It made the pull back in, but that's the trade I was looking for. Failures at the high of the day, which held underneath the 32 even, And the one time that it worked the absolute best was the time that I was out of my seat. But it is what it is. And even then, off that 32 level, it's never gone more than like 50 cents. I actually thought it was from that level it could drop $1. It never dropped more than 50 cents. So the high is 32.30. The bottom is 31.40. That is not the movement I expected out of General Motors, not gonna lie. I thought it would be more volatile.
All right, yeah, I mean, so did I. I thought General Motors would be a little more volatile. It's just funny that it's like, it is, like P&L wise, it's going to be the #1 name here. And it's just very easy, man. I was just buying the dips and it went against us for a minute. Kept buying these 50s until eventually it broke. So again, pretty simple scalping action here for General Motors. You know, it hasn't been, and you're going to see some of the positions I have on and blah, 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 but hasn't really been a super fantastic day for some of the ideas that I initially had. Obviously, you're going to see GameStop. That is, I mean, look at what's going on with GameStop right now. I mean, we wrote down right here, 16 long, and we talked about taking it and then it dropping down and then finally now having the long back in on GameStop. I mean, look at this thing. It's doing exactly what we thought it would. And it's just like, still unable to make the money that we thought we would, right? And so nice move back up to the upside. You're taking out 17.38. I mean, congratulations, everybody that's long on this GameStop, man. It's been an absolute monster right there. GM, whatever. Like I said, it's my #1 stock today. And, oh no, actually, I lied. Actually, Palantir. I mean, look at this. You want to talk about having one trade. We'll get to Palantir in a minute, but this was a pretty good one. Short rate here. Now we're just getting out again on Palantir. So this is the #1 stock followed by General Motors. But we'll get to all this after a minute. Apple ends credit card deal with Goldman. So let's go.
Yeah, let's talk a little Apple here as well. I want to go through this actually real quick. Sharif and I were just talking about this. I mentioned the Ark Fund, best month ever since inception. And here's why for the month of November, if you're wondering. Here's why. Obviously, we've touched on a few of these already, but biggest holdings or biggest influence from each individual holding. So 79% for Coinbase. Roku's up 89% in the month of November, 61% for Block. It goes on and on. Like CRISPR Therapeutics, CRSP, 81%. Pretty crazy. UiPath, Shopify, Tesla, goes on and on. So yeah, pretty impressive once again for Miss Kathy Wood. That's the main fund. That is best month ever. Yeah, Apple negative here. I mean, it hasn't been that big of a day. If you missed it this morning, they came out and said they were going to end their deal with Goldman Sachs over the next year or so, year and a little bit, 12 to 15 months, they were saying, for the credit card. So it was a big deal. They actually bought this up pretty strong out of the gate this morning.
Yeah, and their savings account too, which they're giving 4% on, costing Goldman money here. Quite frankly, Goldman under CEO David Solomon has not been interested in taking on more retail, more retail, I don't want to call them traders, but basically retail consumers. So they're looking to get out of that market, and it looks like they're going to wind down this partnership.
Yeah. So as far as tech goes, as we saw, a little bit lagging today, guys, across the board.
Yeah, and I just got trailed out of Meta, so you'll see that will pop out. I'll get to Apple in a quick second, but Meta, just to give you an idea, VWAP retracement on a weak stock, which was pretty much the Mag 7 story today. More or less, it wasn't necessarily everything that was this week, but you got a VWAP failure and then a lower high, short the lower high. I just took it out on a bounce off 332, partly because of what the futures are doing or not doing. So I want to take the money and run. Apple was a mixed bag in that I had a good bounce and then went back to the well. So when it bounced, we left you guys at about, like right before 11 o'clock, and the last thing I had done is a reload at Q2. That's when it made the high at 191.15 or so, and then pull back in. I decided, hey, I like that now. It's a triple bottom, and did the old reload. Reload was not the way to go. As a matter of fact, the exit point was like the best point to have gotten short in Apple, which is often true when you're making one of those bounce plays. When you go for it on the triple bottom, sometimes that's going to happen. And Apple now down 0.5%. Now the story, yikes. Okay, so the daily chart, sorry about this, kind of looks kind of nasty, but you have a consolidation here above this 189. And if it cannot hold on to that, Apple's got some room for a decent pullback. 186, the next stop, and then from there, 181, a pretty key level, previous resistance level that turned into some support. So there's some steps along the way if we are really breaking down here on Apple. I don't think this story is a big deal. It's a big deal for whomever ends up getting this business, right? We don't know who it's going to be. We just know that Goldman Sachs is out. Somebody's going to step in, presumably, and that seemingly would be a good account for them because it's Apple. They're going to do vol.
Yeah, it's gonna be SoFi.
I'd be happy.
We'll see, man. We'll see. We just bought some last week at 668 and talked about it. So.
That would work.
Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, that dog will hunt. That's for sure. Okay, so I just posted it right now on chat here. I just said this. All right, long first, right? I had the bias long on Tesla. You guys saw me this morning. We got, we couldn't get it going, man. It just kept on fading out, and we kept getting hit on Tesla. And then I said, basically, you have to have the ability to switch bias into a short. I mean, the market gave us the short today. It was telling us the market wanted to be weak. So we flipped over, and then there's a short. So 3 shorts in, a couple different looks there on that. We'll put that back up and then just have a quick look because here's Tesla. It just bounced again off 246. Like I said that before when it was here, that most likely will be taking that out next time it comes back into that level. So I still feel the same way. Tesla probably needs to come out next time we're down near 246. So we'll still play the short. The market's sort of rallied a little bit back up through the 50-period moving average. So we've already called Tesla 280 in a month. Let's see if it gets there. It could get there next week. Apple, if you want to talk about it, look, the king is still the king. Everyone loves Apple. So do I. An apple a day does keep the doctor away. I'm pretty sure that was, that's been medically proven. So, and then right now, we'll just wait to see what happens at 198. Apple will be taking out $200 soon, so I don't know. Wait for maybe a little bit of a pullback. I mean, the market is so hot. We talked about that earlier, where the Fed is not raising rates anymore. And if they do, it would be a surprise to the market. So, I mean, if you think about long bias right now, I feel like you're in the right camp. Now, could we pull back? I mean, we've had a pretty epic run here in the NASDAQ. I mean, look at these triple Qs. By the way, Uber, like as if Uber. Again, another one we had on the sticky note that is at day's high. We didn't even buy the own dips we mentioned. But look at the NASDAQ, man. Off the 200 period, we had a little 10% swoon here back in late October. What was Halloween nightmares, dreams turn into nightmares if you're short. Huge move back up to the upside there, and we've cleared out. Now you're 4% away from all-time highs now on the NASDAQ. So, I mean, just look at this market go to the upside. Apple is a dominating force in this market. We don't need to tell you guys that. So, yeah, I think next stop, 2 bills for Apple.
Just seeing GME going again here a little bit. It was all of the upgrades once again today for CrowdStrike coming off of earnings. I was just going through a few of these, but I think there was only one that actually wasn't maintained, but they cut the price target. Everything else, there's probably 10 at least of positive remarks here from analysts coming off their earnings for CRWD, still holding basically at day highs.
Yeah, they beat on top and bottom line, Brendo, and revenue was up decisively, 35% year over year for Q3. The guidance was good too, predicting about 836 million to 840 million in profit. That's better than what the street was looking for. I don't know if they're up on the day or not, but it was up decisively this morning, over 5%.
I lied. There's actually not even one that was negative. It's every single one is either a buy or overweight for CrowdStrike today, guys.
Yeah, well, you're up 10% on a stock that is breaking. Like, look at the breakout. Now, this is not necessarily all-time highs. Oh, yeah, I got to open my trade ideas. I just reminded myself to do that because I was going to check out my weekly, but it's not up right now. It doesn't matter. What do you need to see? You made the breakout. I thought we had a Boeing setup, like the setup from Boeing yesterday, where you had the gap up and we'd go dip and rip off previous resistance. The thing about looking for a dip buy, like a specific setup, this is me logging into my trade ideas, just give that a second. It'll go off the screen to another one above. But the dip and rip is I want the breakout of the pre-market bottoms, hold a previous low at 214.5, and then just get back in on the way back up. The low was 16 there. It never gave that opportunity. The other way to play this, which is usually what'll end up happening, but you know what I was looking at the morning, right? It was General Motors and why am I forgetting? AMC, we were trading some AMC in the morning. Like you had generally speaking at 8:30 or 9:30, it's two names that I'm executing on, because it's executing on 4 or 5 names at 9:30 is a little bit crazy. The dip buy that happened was the one off of the pre-market low. And then when it broke back up, you had to get that next available dip and then off to the races. As far as where this thing can go, 240, if you go way back on CrowdStrike, you got to get up to like 240, 250 potential. I don't see a trade in this afternoon unless you wanted to scalp off the top here. Like look at it go sideways. The stock is up 10% and goes sideways like this. It's really tricky to want to be buying some tops and joining the trend. Really the support here would be back down in 232. But this or Pandub both had fantastic days today. One 10% because they had earnings, but on Sympathy, PanW also gave you a good move. The cybersecurity names just continue to win. If anything, like I recently got into PanW when it did the dip on earnings, because I said to myself, you get too picky when you want to buy something, and usually I try to enter quarter by quarter stock that I don't own, and I was always waiting for this to get back down into 200. Sometimes just get a piece in, otherwise you'll never get a piece into something like this. And this is the reason why. Like, look at it break the highs. I lamented about the same thing when it came to Mobileye. I lamented about the same thing when it came to ARM. If you like a stock that you're going to hold for a long time, sometimes you just got to take that 20% or whatever it is, get in the first opportunity you see, because you're going to hold it for the rest of your life.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I've been self-managing my portfolio probably since 18 or 19 maybe. So yeah, I just, the genius of compounding and getting dividends and dripping them in and just continuously buying dips and stuff like that. My biggest mistake is selling things like, buying Netflix at like $50 and selling it. But, you're going to make those decisions. All right, so just quickly here. Market definitely rebounding. I've now put my bid in at 246. So, yeah, we've already missed the opportunity. We only have a third left of this trade. The best we ever got out was 247. So we took $1.70 on the position. I mean, it's fine. It's just, yeah, we should have been a little smarter and not thought that we were going to break the bottom of the day when the market was sort of going back up to the upside. But you know what, man? GME is up 30%. This thing's a damn rocket ship right now. And I mean, it's not hard to be in this name. It's just, we knew it was going to be active. There are going to be levels here. We told you we got washed early when we went long at 16. We got some outs at 16.40. But then when it fell back down, unfortunately, we got some out at 15 once it broke. Once we realized it held, we got in there back up into 16, fell back in. We bought 15s again, and the rest is history as we are still in this. There goes GameStop, man. Next stop. We talked about 23, 24 there. Sharif really likes that bang. I like it too.
Should be hitting this one for
yeah, we've been hitting that one, but I gotta give it to the professor. We talked about next stop area for this one. I mean, there's the 200 period moving average coming for GameStop. We've already been here before, like back in September. And I know we have GME at the bottom, but it's mooning now. This area right here, 1950, is also the top from September and also the 200 period moving average. So, again, this is all split adjusted. So if we go even to the weekly, the highest GameStop got, and I tweeted this out yesterday. It's a new segment, by the way, on the after show. It's called What is Sean Tweeting? But right now, this 75, I had it marked down as 75. It looks like the high right there. And of course, there's going to be wicks, but the closing high right there, you just sort of draw some little flag patterns. And I don't even know how to draw using this thing, but you go down and you go over, and it does look like we're trying to break back out. So let's wait to see what happens here. On the weekly, you can see $25 here on GameStop. So that's quite a ways to go. I would say buckle up if you're in this name. I think it's going to be a good one.
3,400. We got our, if you haven't looked at it yet, everybody got their year wrapped. Your Spotify year wrapped just came out. So we were going through our most listened to songs and whatnot. Sharif won by a landslide as far as listening. What was it,
143,000 minutes, Brendan.
That's a lot.
It's mostly podcasts.
That's a lot. That's a few.
Jim.
That's a few months worth.
Yeah, it's like
at
100
least.
days or
Anyways,
something like that.
Foot Locker was on the list this morning. We were touching on a pretty impressive performance for earnings coming off of their report after the close. Was it after close or was it? Yeah, it was after close last night. Right back to 28.5 here, which was what we were talking about this morning on the daily chart. Kind of holding here as well.
Yeah, they beat on the top and bottom line, which was a bit of a surprise, definitely for me anyway. Revenue was $28 million. Compare that to last year. They made $96 million. So revenue down year over year, but beating estimates. The story here has been their attempt to kind of make sure that the consumer is still spending, as the consumer, number one, chooses experiences rather than goods. And when they do choose goods, they're choosing the staples rather than the discretionary items. The second story here has been their over-reliance on Nike, and Nike's focus now to take their merchandise direct to consumer through their stores and online and kind of circumvent Foot Locker. That's hurt them a bit. Let's see how they do.
Just having a look at Google there. There was a note on China, apparently. Google coming out warning China is ramping up cyber attacks against Taiwan. So didn't really do anything, but down anyways, as we saw it today.
Yeah, well, Foot Locker, the 17% that it's up, that might be where this closes today. And it looks, obviously, it's very impressive. It ends up wicking this top here, that 28 level, actually getting to the 200 period and turning exactly at the 200 period at 29 even. But as far as executing off 28, you would have heard my panel, hey, look for a failure at the 28 level. Okay, so it got up there, got to that level. It's stalling, but it's not. It didn't really provide a trade setup off of this level that looks fantastic. Now it is forming a bit of a wedge now.
I know.
So a chance of it breaking down from here looks pretty solid. But my thesis was to wait for, rejection and sellers underneath that 28 that showed confluence. It never happened. There was one rejection here, followed by a higher low, which is bullish. And then now it's just going sideways off that level for Foot Locker. So there was, there's no trade. There's no trade. Sometimes that's how it is. Great look for Foot Locker. I still am not sure how long a bull rally lasts in them or how long the company sort of stays afloat. Like, I think brick and mortar is obviously going to be in a little bit of pressure. You're going to have to be able to maintain some of the momentum in a transition for them. So it remains to be seen. I'm skeptical. I don't really own any. Like, the only retail I own is Walmart, to be honest with you. And if I were buying something else, it wouldn't be Foot Locker. It'd probably be Costco. So I'm not going to own this stock. I'd prefer to own Nike if I had to, but great day for Foot Locker here. And some of this move has to do with the short float. You've seen a lot of good squeezes. When you're in a bull rally, things with a 10% short float, if they give you long setups, like this one at 27, it's hindsight, but breakouts are fantastic for high short float names because they are levels that people stop out of shorts. Sounds obvious, but it's true.
Yeah, we were looking at Foot Locker earlier. I mean, I don't have any trades on this name today. We actually did mention it coming up here into this 28, 29 level, which it obviously did. And now it's still there. So huge move off the open, ripped to 29. Now it's fallen back in a little bit. Looks like it still wants to take it out. I own Nike, but that's been sort of a rough ride, obviously, to the downside. Now it's trying to make its way back up. I sort of already did my little rant there on Foot Locker. I got to say shout out to my friends over there at SneakerCon that were listening and messaging me as well about that. And the thing is that resale on shoes, it has come down a little bit. And then if you're not going to, and again, like I can call up the app, like I get notified on all the drops and all that kind of stuff, but I'm buying them more because I want to buy the shoes rather than resell them. So I just feel like it's kind of like the whole NFT craze, not that shoes. I mean, I think shoes maybe, might have hit something like that. But at the end of the day, they've really revamped their offering. And I notice anyways, I think some of the stores I go into are a little smaller in the malls, trying to cut back on some size there. And then I really like the Foot Locker app. They have a great rewards program, so on and so forth. So, but anyways, that's what it is. I'm not going to stop using the product. But like I said earlier, I just kind of flip in between like Foot Locker app, Adidas app, Nike app, so on and so forth. Actually, that's all. And then just figure out what I want to get. So a lot of competition in this space. I think if you're long Foot Locker running into this level here, it may be a chance for you to get out.
All right, GME, AMC, bottom of the list to wrap things up. Here we go again, potentially, as we have been saying. Right back to day highs here, 17.5. I was just reading a note there on some political campaigns in the U.S. But anyway, day highs, 28.5% only, Sharif.
That's a rocket. I mean,
Did you have fun with this today?
It's a good one, right? I mean, if I didn't paper hand the trade earlier on, hit the flat and key by accident, it would have been better. But yeah, absolutely. It really respected the whole dollar levels today, whether that was 15, 16, or 17. It's really been, in and around these support and resistance levels. It's been a good trade, guys. Nothing really to say about this. It reports, though, December 6th. So for any of those guys holding those longer dated calls, be made aware of that date.
Yeah, I was just noting this as well. I mean, obviously, hour and a half still to go here. Look at the volume yesterday versus today. So huge, huge, huge volume day today, guys, for GME. The rundown, as always, brought to you by our friends over at Trade Ideas. If you haven't done so, take advantage still. Even though it doesn't say, 25% off, says on screen, bottom right corner, use a QR code. You can take advantage of the web app version. You can take advantage of the downloadable desktop version as well. Everyone here, very, very happy with Trade Ideas, guys.
Nobody, and I mean nobody, cares about volume on a chart more than Brendan. There's no question about that. That's what I gathered from that chart. But I want to I made one trade on GameStop today, and in some ways, I can actually thank Sharif for the exit. Not because it was trading against it. It was just like Sharif was involved here, and I think he was in the long. And I remember it was 16. I just remember it was 1640 when he started talking about it. Now 1640 was the morning high, and this broke out at 1640. Now if you watched yesterday, I played the 13 level short with a tight stop. When it failed 17, I did the same thing. Parabolic move on a breakout. So if you're looking for a fade trade, to me, it has to make some kind of a big move up to retrace. It made that move, topped out at 1699, and then the next thing it did is false break. So it broke 17, got to 1709, and then came back in. So I shorted right underneath and scalped the first bit out, and once I was looking for the second leg, I'm like, okay, where is this gonna go? Previous high 1640, breakout 1640, bid in front of that level. Maybe it's gonna bounce off a previous level. So that's the only trade I made all day in GameStop, was one retracement trade. But when it came back in, no reload it. I've made that mistake before where you go back to the well. It would have worked out if I had. But if you do it every single time, it's a very, very clean loss if you take it the third time through. So I'm guessing even if I made that trade, I give it back with the third one. So one and done for me in GameStop. And I'm happy when it's that way if the trend is to the upside, right? Like you want to be in and out fast if you're going against the grain for any kind of a pullback trade. And the risk on this was never more than 10 cents. And if you make the top wick, you make the top wick. Live with that, because who knows? If you hold through a level break like this, GameStop could always halt to the upside. And next thing you know, it could be $18. Always be willing to have some kind of an out. It doesn't matter whether you're going against the grain. That's going to save your butt.
Yeah, exactly. We were lucky enough to have reloaded the long 3 times, basically, and still have something on board as we start to go upside. I just tweeted, just for jokes, when moon, like it's up 30%. Like I just remember that was a really fun time back a couple years ago. I was lucky enough to get invited to the Dumb Money premiere, which was here at TIFF, and that was an absolutely fantastic time. I don't know what really is rallying this. We've already talked about Roaring Kitty not really posting anything. But then yesterday, again, well, we already talked about it. It's hitting levels. It's looking pretty good. This is just another one of those opportunities. You also have AMC starting to go as well right now. Well, I thought it was anyways earlier. I actually don't know the price. Up 8%, so it is actually at the highs. I just didn't want to say it was going if it was going the other way. But you're right back up to days high again right now. And I mean, and if you are looking for a trading resource today and you have more diamond hands than I do, I posted this as basically one of the top plays here for myself today on the sticky note. And it's right here. And we had GameStop right here, 16 long, and I just wrote the word hype. Well, the hype is real on this name, and it is continuing to go upside. So right now, it's just kind of funny. We have $2.50 in the money right now, and I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it right now on Tesla. What do we want to do with this one, guys? I'm going to cancel. Oh, Sean, why? I literally was just bidding 246.15 and I canceled it. All right, well, there's 250 in the money for us on Tesla. Now that the market's finally dropping down, I think I just put a bid there, and I literally, I almost wish I'd stepped away because I would have got filled, and then I wouldn't feel bad if this name goes back up to the upside. But we're still in this name. Tesla just bouncing off these levels. Maybe this is the right spot to get out here, and we are being a little greedy here. But again, you want to try to follow what you're doing, because if I got out of GameStop, we wouldn't be in. But 246 dropping down right now. 245.85 coming into play here for Tesla. Look at this market coming down right now. We're also in quite a doozy here with PLTR right now, as that's starting to go back down to the downside. And obviously, as the #1 investor in Palantir's history, we have right now a little bit of back and forth here, because, and I'm just joking, I'm not the #1 investor. I don't know who the heck would be. Probably Kathy would, probably. But anyways, huge move to the downside right now off that high. And it's only huge in the way that it's 1%. It's not actually that much. Let's see if we can make a move down. We're in the money now, 30 cents on a $20 name, 1.5%. Trying to get this down here, 1990, and then the bottom of the day. This market, why can't we go back into 16,000 here? I'm just going to hold some of these shorts, and it's a good thing that we sort of did that with Tesla, because now it's not 1, not 2, but working on 3 now for this name. So let's just continue to watch out for this and see if we can break that low of the day, which we sort of thought would happen. And my bad not reloading on the 200 period MA right there. Ugh. Anyways, it is what it is. You're right, Ben. Let's flush this thing.
Yeah, this market finally making a down move. You know what's weird? The market's still green today. It feels like the market's been down since the open because of the spike we had up that got rejected, but really the momentum has been in the other direction. Anybody that traded the morning knows all about it. That's what made it so frustrating. Because those early trades that would have worked out, they were looking good and then just snapped right back in. VVOS, for anyone trading this rocket, it just halted to the upside. 1990, it halts. The current theoretical auction price, $23. Whether or not it opens up there in a minute or so, who knows? But if it's a 5-minute halt, it'll open in about a minute. I'm not trading it. Again, if you're trading those reverse split type plays, you tend to want to make sure you take your profits. I saw someone in the chat, I know George put a comment in there about GameStop being tricky for them.
Yes.
Make sure you take your profits when, have an idea, A, where you want to get out, B, where you want to take some profit. For myself, got fortunate to get the bottom as it bounced off 332 on Meta. This volume candle it looks like it's just a dark pool dump. I don't think Meta did its highest volume candle of the day at 209. But it did make a nice little bottom. It did not quite get back up to my entry. I was looking for fills above 333.5. But if the stairs are going to the downside on Meta, I'm going to look for a place to join. That's what we did when it rejected VWAP and put in lower highs. I'll look for another lower high to join. I have been sitting in Alibaba, so I'm going to get to that one here, and Intel. A couple of scalp trades off the 75 level. Rejected VWAP, got in, wasn't really scalping it. When it did the rejection over VWAP and I didn't get filled, I took some out at the bottom end of the range, and now I'm taking fills above VWAP. And for Intel, that has tested the high of the day, up 2% while the market is flat. Intel has been on a rocket ship. It's back above the 45 level on the daily. So when it regained that level, I got back into the long after losing on it on the way down in the morning. This is where the strength is. I mean, obviously CrowdStrike and the any cybersecurity name, but AMD's up 1.8%, Intel's up 2%. The chips have been pretty good. NVIDIA's lagging a bit, but it is still outpacing the market up 0.66. Some wicks on that chart. But the chips have had a fantastic day today. Marvell reports tomorrow. This is one that's going to be on watch for me. $56 on Marvell. Underneath VWAP, 56 a support level, and it's got a double bottom. So this is, while up 1.2%, you guys can see the chart. It's lower highs into a flat bottom. If the market rolls over, watch out for Marvell 56 even. As much as I like Intel long, got to respect that this stock, they might be taking some risk off if it breaks that level before the end of the day.
All right. Just talking the same stuff here. I don't, we're going to have to just wait. I mean, I'm thinking that Tesla, I just put a bid at 245.50 to end the trade. I mean, it went $3 in the money in middle of the day. Like, I mean, this is what you're trying to do, is get these kind of plays, right? So we're just gonna have to wait for it. Hopefully it come in 40 more cents, and we're out for, hopefully what is a good trade. Okay, so the other one here is going to be Amazon. I want to have a quick look at that. So this is kind of the same thing right now. I mean, you're underneath VWAP. It's not exactly the same as Tesla, because I think it's a little more aggressive right now. Tesla is, of course, than Amazon. The Tesla yesterday was up 4 or 5%. What was Tesla up today anyways? And now it's down now. But anyways, Amazon, I still like the stock. I like both these stocks. It's just a matter of it needs to get up a little bit higher into 147. It's close right now. And, oh, there it is. Are we there? What else? Yay, 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 yay. There it is, man. That's $3. We just cashed out on that. That's the bottom of that damn day. And yeah, we could not be happier with all this. So there, it's a big trade. It's a big trade alert. Unfortunately, though, at the very same time as this flush happened, wow, okay. Why do you tell me to hold? Okay, no, Palantir, absolutely cranking as well. It's a hot dog kind of day right now as the cannons start firing off. Man, those shorts paid off. Now we're out of them all, but hey, targets hit. What are you going to do? I put both these targets at the bottom, like Palantir, top of the day, bottom of the day. Executed, top, bottom. I mean, that's good. Happy with it. Tesla, again, continues to fall down. Probably should have held that one. But, the day is still young. We'll see if we can get something else. But there it is right there. Nice move back down. And, yeah, what's up, D-Loaf and everybody in the chat? You always hope that to be on and into some of these trades. I feel like we cashed out, obviously, and pretty happy with doing that. We've made worse trades in our life than $3.50 winners.
That's what it's all about. I want to get it right here. A couple people in the chat. I want to get to your super chat, Mr. Rispetto, but I appreciate some of the comments in the chat. But you can miss, right? Like it has been. Like there's been some good trades this afternoon. This morning was one of those days where when it looked like you had continuation on the longs, you didn't. When it looked like you had good dip buy situations, you didn't. Like you essentially was just running things over. On those days, when some of those long setups are just not going to work, the things that worked last week might not work today. So it was a battle to find the good opportunities, and a lot of them were to the short side, reversing what we thought in the morning, and that's what you have to be able to do. You got to just sort of stick with it all day long. It's not about, you're not going to be 100%. Like every day, the market may go up in the long run, but it's not going to be a long every single day. So you got to do that battle. As we just failed VWAP, I did take some Alibaba out there, but Ian Rispetto wanted to get to your super chat. Appreciate you as always. Thoughts on CRM after the bell? Best guess. I mean, obviously, we're not going to sit here and tell you how the quarter's going to go. It's going to go how it goes. You've been holding since 195 a few months, but you're hoping for a beat and a raise to the upside. One thing that is good for them, I think the way that some of the earnings responses have been in the last couple of days here, where you had the stocks that are at those highs. I was really interested to see how CrowdStrike didn't really dip, despite not, everything else has managed to get to the highs and having trouble breaking through on earnings unless they're absolutely perfect. And I would think normally that CRM it's just no different. A stock that goes from the bottom of support to the top at resistance into earnings tends to find some resistance up there. And I generally am always thinking the same thing, which is it has to be absolutely perfect or even better than that for it not to dip. Because there's profit takers. When a stock does this, essentially from the beginning of the month, October 27th is the low, essentially a 1 month move from 95, which you just said you got the bottom, into 130. So my guess is a lot of people that have bought that dip, like who would not be happy with call it 20% if this thing pops, or 15% more reasonably in 1 month. That's pretty darn good return. And I think some people are looking to take that with whatever excuse they're able to find. So that's the price action I'd be looking for. I think that gives an opportunity for a buy the dip situation. I thought the same thing on CrowdStrike, and it never dipped, is what it is. You saw that setup work for a bunch of other earnings names. It didn't happen here. We'll see. They're going to report after the bell. You'll be live with Sean when it happens, so you're going to be able to see the price action for CRM. Oh yeah, I should say it. I own CRM stock myself. So, but I'm not selling it. I'm not doing anything around these earnings. I'm not buying more. I'm not doing anything. I'm just holding on.
Yeah, make sure you join me tonight for sure. We'll go over everything. We'll have lots of fun as we always do. And I want to thank everybody for continuously supporting that show as ratings go through the roof for that one. We also have had, like I was saying to everybody yesterday, we had Brian Shannon on, and I mean, some of the levels, man. Oh yeah, yesterday on CrowdStrike, you know the level that he gave as a bounce level, 198. You know how far it went down? 199.90.
I thought that was a dark pool.
Right there. No, it went down there. 199.90 on CrowdStrike. And Brian gave everybody the level of 198. So, you know, again, absolutely amazing. The best part about Brian is he's actually a real trader, meaning that he puts on the trades that he's talking about, right? And so that's the one thing. I really do respect that. That's not always true in this business. So I do respect Brian for that one. And he and I talked about that. So there it is, man. Look, Palantir, pretty happy with it. I do want to get some reloads on all this. Bob Iger's on, I think, yeah, doing a CNBC or maybe even doing a...
oh, but there's it's a deal book conference.
That's what I was going to say, like a conference. I was going to say it's a town hall. So we'll see what's happening here with Disney. I never think it's a wise decision to trade something off of some kind of a discussion when they're live, especially the CEO, and especially someone that, like, most people don't know the CEO of the company. Bob Iger is obviously well known. So let's see what happens there. Ears to the ground for Mr. Bob Iger and whatever's going to happen right now on CNBC. So we'll wait to see on that one, but it doesn't look like it's... Should probably stop saying that name because you guys are watching us here, but we don't compete with anybody. We are the #1 day trading show in the world. And I'm, happy to say that. And as long as, I'm not going anywhere, but, as long as I'm here, that's going to stay the same because we're bringing every single day to you, hopefully what you guys want. If there's any feedback you have, please. I've actually already answered today 3 messages in my DM. So if anybody wants to go over at Trader TV Sean, you have something you think we can improve on, any kind of feedback like that, drop it in there. We'll have a look, and that's it, man. We're always trying to do better. And thank you so much to Ben and to everybody out there right now. I mean, we really love everybody that's here every single day. The Boring Man, Ben, Simon Martin, everybody that's here. This is why we're doing the after show. We just joke about it. Traders stay late. Traders are here right now. But it's like, stay late. We'll just continue the party, man. We'll talk about earnings. We'll have a lot of fun. And I just want to thank everybody for the continued support because we're here. You want Randy on the podcast? Let's go. Consider that one done.
He's actually already been asked. We asked him day one.
Yeah, exactly.
So remember, we just started the podcast. We've only had 2 episodes.
We don't know the format yet, really.
We're hashing it out, but we're more than open to anything. We've had suggestions of bringing people on the outside, and trust me, we're open to all of that stuff. And we've just started out. It's only going to get bigger and better. There was a quick answer to a question that just came in. Why don't you guys, Day Trader World, operate in the U.S.? So it's a regulatory thing why Day Trader World does not operate in the U.S. I get it. We trade on a prop floor. Everybody here, myself, Sean, Sharif, everybody behind, trade on a prop floor. There's offices all across the world for Day Trader World. Just do not operate in the United States of America. But if you're anywhere else, there's generally speaking an office pretty close to you. So it is what it is. That's just how it is. Big Money says, bring on Mr. Portnoy.
Done.
He'd be a fun guest. He'd be a fun guest for sure. Anytime you can make it, it's not necessarily a trade, but he essentially made a fantastic trade, getting things back for himself, pennies on the dollar. I want to get back to the market. There was a question about Intel, what the plan of action is. So just to go over it again, I did mention it. but Intel reclaimed the 45 level, consolidation longs. Every time it's bounced in front of VWAP, I've taken a bit of a dip. I did get in early here, but I would have been in the same price anyways, and then getting some out when it gets to the highs. So Intel has been trend up for a while now. It's in the midst of another break. The market's too weak, I think, for it to go parabolic this afternoon, but this is taking out that 45 top, and that's the level we've been talking about Intel getting to for the last little bit. My trade ideas is now open, so I can give it to you here. 45, you got to go all the way back. I'm talking all the way back until you can find a significant level above that 40 breakout that we had. And it's 45 in there. There's room, I think, to get 46.5 and then to 49.50. It's been a trend up, so the trend is your friend till the end when it bends. I'm looking longs above 45 on Intel. If it failed the 45 level, you probably would have seen me looking short.
You know, an interesting name here, and I want to thank everybody for all the kind words in the chat, man. I mean, it's really, really, really appreciated. But okay, anyways, back to trading here quickly, because like I made a play on Snapchat in sort of well, in here we call it TFSA, so it's like kind of like a swing trade account, and it was basically off of, see this huge move down right there that happened in the open market off earnings. It was this move. Well, I was like, oh man, I want to get long there at 10. So when it bumped around here, I'm long right now at 10.48 on Snapchat, and I don't love the stock. You know, I thought that this would have been a good buyout name, and I still actually do believe that to be true. With all the augmented glasses talk, Snapchat is super, super hot. You know, my kids, for example, are both on, actually, no, not both on Snapchat. One of them's on Snapchat, and it's just like they have groups for their hockey teams. They have, I mean, you can have, and again, I know Meta's like, with their Facebook Messenger, they're talking about some parental guidances, but you could do the same stuff on all this. And Snapchat is really super popular, man, amongst the youth. So as you could see, nice move back up to the upside, looking to take out 1350. And I don't know how much more I want to give this. I mean, obviously, we'd love it to get into the 40s again. But if you just look at this right here, and again, let's talk a little bit about, you know, longer term portfolios as we're just sort of watching this market. I was debating getting long, by the way, and that's why I sort of went over here to Snapchat. It's because it's up 1% today. But look, we've already hit this. This goes all the way back to 2022 now. So you're back into August, these levels of 13. You touched it back in March, again, of this year. Then we broke higher during that NASDAQ high back in July of 1350, and now you're all the way back. So this is a decent level. I'm thinking about cashing a little bit out of Snapperoonie here. So we may go like and get rid of half of our position very, very soon on Snapchat as just something to look at. And the reason why I was called it up is because we were at 13, but I actually didn't realize that we had already broke 13 today. So this is not as hot fire as I thought it possibly would be.
7% short float.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah. So I was sort of hoping that when we came, Neil just mentioned 7% short float if you didn't hear him, but I was sort of thinking that this $13 would have huge size, but there's not much there. I was, you know, again, hoping to break through 13 and go long, but we've already done that. So Snapchat's actually pretty quiet here today. It just came up on the scanner as being up 1% and near an even dollar level. And just based on that, I'll just do a little bit. I'll pass it over to Neil just because let's just, you know, get some business done here. We have, see, like at 239 XOM crossed VWAP. This is from Trade Ideas. So you can go ahead, you know, try out Trade Ideas for 25% off. Follow at Michael Noss. He's not on. No, he was on Monday, right, when I wasn't here. So
yeah,
today's Chris Brecher. But at Michael Noss, CMT, message me or myself at Trader TV, whatever. We'll hook you up, and he can get you any of these scanners or build them for you. Shout out to Michael Noss. Got some more homework to do if anyone hits you up. But he's more than happy to do it.
Well,
like we're not.
Don't hit him too hard this weekend. He's supposed to be buying me a beer when I visit him. I'm going to be in Halifax. We're hoping to get together, have a pint.
Oh, Mr. Jeff Mendel phoning me now.
Mr. Mendel in the house. Oh, I wanted to get to a super chat, guys. And I apologize for this. Gus,
what's up, Jeffrey?
We did see your super chat. Gus Phillips there, and we're going to talk about that. Then the rundown happened, and we're getting into the stocks and the market, and there were a couple of opportunities. But that SantaCon, who's going to SantaCon the 9th at NYSE? Thousands of people dressing up as GameStop. Could we see a massive squeeze? The thing about could you see a massive squeeze, there's always a possibility of that. You guys let us know in the chat. Are people going to that? We heard this morning as well. Like, how big a deal is this current chatter about GameStop? I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that like I'm an AMC ape or that I'm sitting there on Reddit scouring to see the next moves on GameStop. I'm not. We're trading the price action wherever we happen to see it. Oddly enough, okay, well, that just jinxed GameStop as it just came back in through that 17 level. And now the selling is accelerating to the downside. I went to cost today. Thank you, AMC chart. 15 minutes going to work. I went to see if cost gave an opportunity for a fade because that's usually the place you want to short it. So if AMC maybe breaks 710 and GameStop is really flushing, that could be a level worth looking at. But these things can absolutely moon. There's a limit, obviously, to how far something can go to the downside, but anyone that understands shorts, in theory, can go absolutely anywhere. And if you look at the grand scheme of things, on the daily chart, this has taken out one consolidation level, two. It hasn't even gotten to the 200 period. The $20 level is a big level for GameStop. And if I just keep zooming out, I can just sort of continue to go with that story. This is not that big of a move in the grand scheme of things, as impressive as it is today. That's what's so appealing about these stocks that make these lows. The percentage moves off the bottoms are huge. They're gigantic. It's a bit of a trap sometimes, and I'm looking right at you, Mullen. I know I said this before. You can make 50% move taking something 10 cents to 15 cents. Just always remember, generally speaking, a stock is 10 cents for a reason. You don't get to 10 cents unless there's a legitimate reason why, fundamentally with the business. So yes, these things can be appealing when they're at the lows. Make sure when you have a trade, you've got yourself an out, but anything is possible. And as I say that, I'm going to go back to Intel because it just tagged that high of the day again. So it just got right back up to the top. It doesn't seem to want to break it, but I keep scalping it and then looking to hold the last piece through a break of the high of the day and see if we can get a run to 45.50. This is relative strength every time I check. And oddly enough, I just checked my high of the day Momo scanner and something called OSA is making a move. I have no idea what it is. It's the first time. And again, I'm just looking. Sean mentioned trade ideas. I'm like, oh, what's my Momo scanner saying? And this just popped up, and it just halted to the upside. So OSA, I don't really know anything about it because it just popped in, and I just saw it on the scanner. I didn't have a chance to call it up, and then it instantly halted. Prosumnus, it's got a 7 million share float, so there's your catalyst. It doesn't even need news when you're breaking $1. You can just have a tiny float. It's already done 1.3 million, so that's 1/5 of the float through. There might be news on this. I just haven't seen it. So if you're trading this, only 1.3 million of volume at 252 is not a lot at all. You would expect a little bit more. Is this a reverse split special? I don't think so. It looks like it just came to market and yuck. If that's nasty if it just came to market and flushed every single day since, but a dollar break is always spicy. If you can open it up and hold the dollar level, you might have something.
Yeah, look, guys, I mean, just get in on all these names. First of all, GameStop's falling down. VVOS, again, like, what? I mean, this was $17 at 230. It's 253, $28 right now, and ripping higher. Its tap right now is just 27.64. So I don't know if you could see that. I mean, I don't know if it matters where I move it, but that's going to give you theoretical auction price. So right now it's actually not changing. So I'm going to find out if it does change. I'll let you guys know. But right now it's only showing its most recent close. And then what was the time? 49. So actually, here, stick with us, man. It's going to open up right now. This should be a 5-minute or so delay. So I guess the tap right now doesn't really want to be working on this, which is fine. That, by the way, good out now. I mean, sure. Tesla's right back, but we'll have to I'm not still on mute from that phone call. No. Oh, by the way, Jeff Mendel may or may not be coming in tomorrow, as you might have heard by that. Sorry about that. I just thought it was fun to take the call
He
because
was taking us to lunch.
he's doing that. It's just a matter of getting him on the show. Okay, so here's VVOS right now. Float. I mean, Neil just talked. What was it? OSA?
But that one's 7.5. That's only a million.
This is exactly. That's what I was going to say. This is a milli. A milli. So shout out to Lil Wayne.
Otherwise, shouldn't be on the market.
Like why this stuff is allowed, we've talked about it. It's probably reverse split before,
Has to.
or no, the other way around. No, reverse split. Yeah, so less shares out there. So yeah, and again, like look at the action happening here. And I just want to tell everybody why this is happening. Like there's only a 1 million share float, yet it's done 42.5 million shares. I don't think there's options on this name. I'd have to look. I would assume not, but it's just there's so many traders that are getting blown out of their accounts, right? And so that's basically what creates this huge move up is that traders can't believe the move and they get short and then now they have to cover once they get margin called, right? Like it just jumped $1 right there. So it's like someone says, oh, I'm going to try to catch this short. So they put 1,000 shares short right there. And then once it goes up 50 cents or whatever the limit is, maybe they're limit trading themselves, that they would get out. So right there, they've just traded 2,000 shares. So that would be the total volume on there. But in reality, they never really held it. They borrowed the 1,000 to go short in the first place and then had to pay it back by getting out, then have to re-borrow again, and then so on and so forth, which is why sometimes these borrow costs can get, I don't know what the borrow cost is right now. Oh, they do have, what does this mean, Rich Naples? And shout out to you, Rich Naples. VVOS has 4 100ths options. So what does that mean? I don't know what that means. I'm just asking. So maybe someone can explain that. But anyways, I don't know if that means micro options or what. We are looking to trade options here at some point. I was told before the new year, but checks watch, a month away, 20 trading days. We'll see if we do get that. And we would be trading 0-day options. So again, probably not something that we'll be jumping right into on a name like this, but definitely something that I want to look at. I just kicked something. Okay, good.
And Dan's saying no options available.
Oh, no options.
But no. Somebody, Dan McIsaac is saying that in the chat.
I would figure there was no option.
Yeah, something like with a float like that.
Yeah, I mean, I go Yahoo options. I mean, that's what I use.
Yeah, that's nuts. I mean, so I don't know if GameStop is still going down, but support just broke on AMC.
Did it?
That's the name of the stock. I don't know why we're struggling with that. So I said if GameStop continued to go down, we broke this. I go short. Oddly enough, this is the same price I stopped out on in the morning breakout. Like I had this breakout 7:15, and it got to 7:30, and then I stopped out at 7:10. That would have been fine if I had stopped there. But then I did like this nice little reload when it popped back to the upside. If you're wondering why my 15-minute chart, same reason as always, is my 3-minute chart. It'll probably populate in. But I think down into $7 and then just sort of see how far it can go. Because if this was only up because GameStop was up, GameStop, I guess, no, that's not close to a halt band. Never mind. I was looking at 15-minute chart. I'm used to looking at a 3. I'm like, that's a pretty big candle. But no, on the 3-minute, that didn't really hit any halt bands. But it did have a big drop back into VWAP. If this continues back to the downside on GME, then I think AMC can at least drop to 7 even.
All right. I mean, I like that. I like that AMC if it drops that low. Okay, so we just, I was looking here. Yeah, so this is just on Yahoo. There's February. There are calls, but there's no interest. There's no volume. There's no nothing. So I don't think they're really working out. Here's the December situation. This is December 15th. I don't see any volume here. So one person's interested at a 250 call? I mean,
like how would a market make?
You would think, no, that's a put, I guess. There's no calls here, so I don't know how to look at this any other way. Is there something for May right there? So there's a call for May. Okay, here we go. So is this what you meant? May, maybe? There seems to be some interest there. But again, no bid price. So I don't know if I'm looking at this wrong, but that's what it is. Anyways, all right, let's go on to something else. That's VVOS. Come on, VVOS. What's going on? I mean, this is just mooning. Come on, GME. Like, take notice what VVOS.
CrowdStrike's mooning.
Oh yeah,
Almost
CrowdStrike.
11% now.
Oh, this just in. CrowdStrike just took a 10% position in VVOS. No, that's just a joke. 28.94, the new high now for VVOS. And then there's that OSA again. You mentioned the short float only being 7 million, or sorry, total float being 7 million, 100% short, probably not. And there it is. So there's the famous dollar break, but then it halted, came right back into a dollar again, and is literally sitting doing absolutely nothing. So OSA, that might have just been that famous dollar break. Nice little run on volatility up to $1.22. And then there's the fall back in. And then look, man, I was super sad. I wasn't. But when Palantir filled that bottom of the day, but damn am I smart. I mean, I just had a bid there at the bottom. You know, that turned out to be the bottom. Not so smart on Tesla as we just go tongue in cheek, because Tesla did touch that 244.30. So we got out about $1 too early on that one. And look where we got out now. And then look at the level that it's just holding right here. I don't know. Sometimes this is what we're doing. Oh, and I said I would look at pivot points. Unfortunately, I thought they were in our charts.
I just assumed you were looking on e-signal or something.
Yeah, I was, because it's such a simple thing. And I'm going to put in a, no, it's like literally the simplest thing to chart.
It is. It's not that difficult.
Because just an equation that is the same every day. But anyways, it's just not much here. So if this is pivot point right here is this black line, and it's we're at the 50-period moving averages, and look where it is right here. It's at a little bit of a bouncing spot of 247.50. So I'm not going to trade off pivot points yet. But those of you that were on the midday show during the education of the midday show, I hopped on and I was talking a little bit about looking at pivot points. So I just feel like adding more things into your trade is a wise decision. So we're going to do that as it goes.
Yeah, you always got to look at indicators. Yeah. I mean, you know, today you saw Refrain and Adair talking about Fibonacci levels. I was listening in. If you watch the show, this was mostly, it was actually last year. I spent, and this was when I was trading more small cap runners, I was using Fibonacci's for a few months to see if I could find a little bit of an edge. Because the issue for me was finding something to hold the trade longer. Like if you know the style of trade that I was generally doing on them, like I'd get my entry point with a tight stop, and then especially when I was going long, when it was short, you're going against the grain. So I found that a little bit easier. I wanted to take the smaller wins with the tight areas. But when it was going upside, like I'd always get out too early. I was like, okay, what can I find that's going to give me something to want to hold it longer, or a target to the upside when you don't have any levels to work off of? So I was using Fibonacci's for a while. I didn't really come up with anything. And then all of a sudden, those small cap runners stopped being as good. So you kind of moved on to what was next. Just a quick update. Look, Baba pushed back, but it didn't, like it curled underneath VWAP here instead of over VWAP, so I did take a fill underneath VWAP here. I got 94s in. So I'm going to do the same scalp game we had before. Let's just see where it can go. GME kind of stalled out a little bit there. Well, I mean, consolidated, whatever term you want to use. Like there, it bounced underneath VWAP. A little bit of a consolidation, so a bit of a check up there at 16 even. So getting into AMC, essentially off GME. I'm going to cross my fingers here. No, it's still the same. So I got into AMC just underneath 710. I got a fill at 8. I got a fill at 9. So my price is actually 8.5. And if it breaks, I guess if it breaks this previous support level, I'll just get out. That's just above 710. I don't want to hold on to this forever necessarily. The thesis being, if GameStop fell all over itself, I felt AMC could do at least a move down into the low of the day, which is sitting at 685. A bid in front of 7. I should have bids in the 90s as well. Just looking for a sympathy push to the downside. I expect, and it doesn't mean it's true, but my expectation is if this move comes all the way back into 15, that AMC can make a move all the way into the low. So I'm willing to risk 5 or 6 cents to try and capture that move into the downside. Hampton's trader says, I am very excited for the Cybertruck tomorrow. You getting one? Let's do us all a favor here. Anybody, and there's the countdown, anybody that's actually getting delivery of a Cybertruck, or if you see one, just send it to us, man. Take a picture of yourself. I'm not getting one. Randy's talking about potentially, but I don't know how serious he is about that. I have no idea. Sometimes Randy just sort of says stuff, so I don't think he is. I'd love to see a picture of somebody with it. We know what the Cybertruck's going to look like. Good to see one in the flesh. I know Daniel Shea, who I think is coming back after her move, some point this year or in the early next year, had talked about it, then pivoted to the Ford F-150 Lightning, which I've heard good things about. And it's very anecdotally though. Like I know one or two people that love that. And again, when you're a Ford person, sometimes if you're a Ford truck person, it's just you're not moving. Like they're not going anywhere. And that guy's he's a Ford guy. So, but the Cybertruck, I'm interested to see what the hype is going to be about. You know, it's going to be a big event. I do wonder how quickly they're going to be able to ramp that up, because that's the question. How many can you make? How well can you do getting them out the door? Because there's going to be demand for it. That's not really the issue for Tesla, not demand.
From one truck, no, I mean, I agree. I mean, it's why, and again, we just took $3 on that Tesla trade. You guys saw that. So, you know, it's now dropping like it's hot, as Zion says there in the chat. Yeah, damn it. There it goes again, off that same exact level that we had previously, but it doesn't matter. We don't have it now, so all good. Or is it? All right, I'm just going to take a small position now on R to the I to the V to the N. It's your favorite EV stock. It's Rivian. All right, so now we're long at 37s. Let's see where it goes, man. I mean, I don't mind this. We just bounced off the 50-period moving average here on the 20-minute chart. Came back into a decent level. The market's below, and what I mean by that is, first of all, still waiting to get going. GME bouncing around a little bit. I don't have many shares left. I have 10% left of that $15 level, so I'm here for the absolute moon. Like, if I didn't take 30%, I'm not going to take 20. But there it is right here. What am I looking at here? This is the NASDAQ. So under VWAP, under the 50-period moving average, you know, there's the high. We make a lower high. We make a lower high. We kind of test that, but don't break it. So that's good for me there. And then there we go back in. So I am not in love. Well, okay. I mean, I was going to say in love with this Rivian trade, but there it is, man. We're long at 37. If we get out at 44 or something, let's do that up there at the 20 period. Just not get out of everything, get out of a piece. Because again, when you see this kind of a move happen pretty quickly, you can just take profit and hopefully it drops back in. And this is why sometimes I don't have the full position on, because I take a trade thinking that, hey, you know, is it possible that Rivian falls back into this 30 level? You know, so then I'm like, all right, I'll just take a little bit now. And then we nailed it, and it never goes back into that level. And it's like, shoot, instead of having 100 shares, you have 50, or instead, whatever. Now, hopefully it falls back in here. But that's part of it. And I think, like we had mentioned before, about some days, you know, going 4-1, 5-1, 2-4, like we are today, or whatever we are. Our 3 and 4. I'll do that in a minute. But again, it's just, you're not going to go perfect every day. It's about the share size. And I mean, if you can manage your share size properly, like who cares if you have a 50-cent win on 100 shares, but a 10-cent loss on 1,000 shares? You're right. That would be double the loss. But the hit is only 10 cents, right? So you got to be very, very wise to share size positioning. All right, so let me check back in on VVOS quickly here as my, what in the...
Yeah, 31.75.
All right, so Serenity now as they go. As we're starting to rewatch on Fox at night now here in Toronto at 11 o'clock. I know I think you're done at 11 by then. There's in Syndicate is...
I appreciate you saying it that way.
Yeah, no problem. Is Seinfeld. So we're starting to watch.
That's too late.
Yeah, we're starting to watch a little bit.
Sean, you were kind about that because
Yeah.
our high school group knows that I'm generally in bed and asleep before 10 o'clock every single day. You get older, you have kids. It's like it's just a new schedule.
Yeah.
It's different. Everyone's going to be different, but I know mine changed drastically, and I found I do way better when I just gave in and said, hey, if I'm going to be an early riser, I can't pull that nonsense anymore. When I was in high school, I woke up at 5:30. You know, I wake up at 4:30 now, but I always woke up at 5:30, and at some point you can't go to bed at midnight and wake up at those times.
Yeah, I mean, you wake up 2 hours earlier than I do.
Like
you
have to.
It's just about what it is.
I do make an exception when the Bills play a night game, but generally speaking, that's not gone too well for me. So VVOS, just meaning I'm staying up there, and then I'm like, for the low, I stayed up for this, and then it just makes me more angry. Yes, the bills suck. That's what it is. VVOS. This could do absolutely anything in the afternoon today. It's in the power hour right now, and it's going to open. Okay, it should open up in 1 minute. The last halt was a 10-minute halt. Generally speaking, the difference between a 5 and a 10-minute halt is they'll halt it for 5 minutes on any volatility halt. It goes 10 minutes because they don't have liquidity to open it back up without it being an extreme move. Generally speaking, that's why. If it goes past 10, then I have no answer for you. It happens sometimes. And it's usually because of the same reason, lack of liquidity. Now, when it's squeezing, that can be a good thing, but it's not always a good thing. And I always come back to that. Just because it's a 10-minute halt doesn't mean it's going to go parabolic. It could absolutely go the other way. Be careful trading it. BABA just did this to the downside. I got the fills inside of the range. Going to hold on to a piece for a bigger move down in the 74.60 range. But on the higher time frame, which I did not do, when in doubt, zoom out, everybody. Alibaba, this is the 75 level. So when it failed 75 again today, that's why another reason to like the short. Now it's a VWAP retracement play, first and foremost. Like it was already down through that level in a VWAP retrace, but you just want something that gives you confluence. I just saw someone in the chat say that on that Rivian where you got in, and you didn't take this because of this, but they just said Rivian just bounced off the 38.2 Fibonacci for whatever it's worth. But if that's, look, if it's a double bottom,
yeah,
and it's a bounce play for a long. If the fact that it's a 38.2 Fibonacci gives you the reason to get into that trade or the confluence or the balls or whatever it is, then that's fine. It doesn't matter. You're just looking for that little bit of an extra. To me, on BABA, the extra at 75 is the fact that it was a flat bottom break on the daily at that price. It's just a good level. It's the same thing with Intel right now, which continues to try to hold this high of the day break. Just the market's too weak for this, man. Gut telling me
the market's pretty weak.
Yeah, I'm going to hold on to this. I scalped at this level anyways. The market's up. I'm complaining about the market as if it's doing poorly on a percentage basis. But it's more along the lines of the failed break that we had, and then we're not really getting off the bottom. We held 16,000 this morning and didn't even really come close to testing it. But we're not bouncing off that level. So anything trying to take out the top is just running into all this silly resistance. And for GameStop, really, like it dropped $1 and now wants to do nothing. So I'm still going to stay in AMC. I mean, it's a very tight stop, but look at it just sort of hang out here at $16. That's a good sign most times when it falls like that and then doesn't immediately make another leg down. Because that just means that the buyers were like, oh, okay, no, that's enough. We're back. And we're jumping back in at the $16 level, which when you put things into perspective, if you were long this from yesterday, are you fearful? Like maybe you're thinking it has to be under, like if you're thinking the 15 level, maybe you're giving it to 14.50. Like if you were long from 12 and you've already taken some profit out, just think of like if I was trailing this, I'd probably, if I was holding the last 10, 15%, I'd be thinking about $15, not 16. Because why not? If you think the upside on a swing on this stock is 200 periods at 19, resistance is at $20. That's another 20% from here. You can give up $1 to try and make an extra $4. I'm just thinking out loud what I would be thinking if I was actually long the bottom at 12, which I'm not, but somebody is, and somebody has shares down here 12 to 13 because you saw the volume yesterday. By the way, that's a big indicator. You want to see when a stock is squeezing, how is the volume holding up at the higher levels? That's a big deal. If it's doing good volume at the higher levels, that's a good sign. If it's not, then you get a DWAC situation where the stock will gap up, volume's garbage, and then it comes right back down the same day. That's why we generally fade that stock. It's nothing against DWAC. That's just what the volume tells you almost every time.
All right. I asked Randy for a coffee, but I guess he has flew the coup right now.
Oh, it's 3
It's 3 o'clock. So, all right, I got to go up and get one. So I'm going to go get one in a couple seconds. But I just wanted to tell everybody, let's just get this party started again. So let's go long on GameStop. So I want to go long if we get this garbage out of here at 1620. Like the VWAP is there at 1625. I'm going long if we break it. It's consolidating right down here. This is exactly what I want to see. some consolidation without this tank. We've already had a tank to the downside. I feel like this is really basing out perfectly fine. And then tonight, when I put on my kitty costume and bandana, you could follow me live on YouTube, and we'll be tweeting all about this. But 16, and I will not be, 16.23 or 24. It's 26 is the break, so that's literally what I have it at. So we'll be sitting there. We'll wait to see if it can come through. But I like the stock, GameStop, breaking through this level. So let's see if it can get back going. And if it doesn't, we won't get filled. And we don't have to do anything. So we'll see if it gets back up through that level here, GME, breaking through VWAP. And again, it's just because we're starting to consolidate a little bit right now. And the trade's already in, but again, we should have, coulda, woulda, shoulda. I told you that we're here to basically make a fool out of ourselves by not taking that profit. But we sort of looked at where $20 might come into play. I think it was 19 was a key level. And after that, it was 23. But again, you got to be happy if you're trading GameStop today.
The boring man just now.
Up another 20%.
He just
What's
said.
the boring man say?
And holding, we were just talking about GameStop. If you had it from yesterday, or the bottom levels, holding GME since 12:30 and looking for 19. When you zoom out, when in doubt, zoom out. When you zoom out, you look at that 19-20 level, and that's where, after breaking this top today, that's where the next squeeze level is. So when you're, generally speaking, when you're making this kind of a play, holding some for the dream is a part of it, because if it has that potential, not everything's going to be HKD. But if you hold on to 10, 15% or whatever it is for you, then that's how you can profit by it. I mean, Apple's not going to make that kind of a move in 2 or 3 days, but GameStop can.
OMG.
I wish Apple would, but.
Yeah. OMG, as I write in the chat about Tesla. Well. All right, so there it goes down to the downside. I mean, we were short. I mean, we were short up here at 249 as it hits 243.50. All right, I did not think Tesla would break low of the day again for us, and it did that. As I said, Palantir, the #1 name here today, as can't be upset with this trade for sure. We still got out at a better price than where we are now. I actually thought Tesla, this is just going to be another one of those buy the rumor, sell the event news, sort of, I thought. But I guess we're already selling. I mean, yesterday, Tesla was nicely up. I think it was up that 4 or 5% yesterday. And then now here today, oh, you know what? I don't need, this looks stupid. Why do I have these? Sorry, no, I want the title on the chart. I don't want everyone to see all these fills on both charts. That looks ridiculous. Okay, right there, we'll just correct that. All right, so just did not think that we'd be doing this right now today. Sometimes you got to play sort of the rhetoric that you feel and the bias. And I actually even tweeted that out. I tweeted out that we switched up our bias, right? And so I was pretty happy with it. It's right here. And it's just, it didn't, I don't know if this is it right now, but it's right into here where we switched up and we talked about it.
No way.
I just thought there would be a slow afternoon. And it doesn't look like that's happening at all. But we were out, and there it is right there. So going long early, thinking that Tesla was a long today, then finally realizing it was a short, waiting for the 200 period. Oh, now I'm just sad. Waiting for the 200 period right there. So again, nice move for Tesla as it continues to go. We got out good on Palantir. It doesn't look like we got out very good on Tesla as it's still making that move down. Oh, before I go get a coffee, Rivian. We just got it, so it's not really a reload, but we did get that piece out there, as we said, right there at VWAP at 44. And now, yep, and then right now, well, actually, it's 43, actually. 43 half, I don't know. I think it was 43. I'll double check the trade list in a minute, but yeah, here we go. I want more down here near 30, but with this market absolutely tanking, we're only going to try to risk about 5 or 10 cents. So we'll see what our average price is when it gets down here, but I am bidding right now 31s. So we should get that fill coming out right now, and then if it breaks through 25, we will get out. I already have a stop order in for that trade as well.
So if you guessed $40 for the next halt level on VVOS, then you guessed correct. 39.71. Technically speaking, 39.71. Does it really matter when it's up 800%? The answer is no. This continues to be a market rocket ship to the upside. If you guys ask, I'll let you know what the tap value is anytime. Not going to trade it. It's not going to be something that I would chase. $40 is the tap. 39.71 is the current open price. It is not even staying open the last couple of halts. This is a 3-minute chart. but it's actually halting a little faster than that. I prefer a 3-minute chart, so that's what I look at. But if you pull up a 1 minute, you'd see the same thing. Dan McIsaac asked me why trade AMC to the south side. It's just simply because of GameStop, right? Like it wasn't just because of GameStop. The answer is unequivocally yes, because GameStop made that move to the downside. And before it was even consolidated, I was presented with, when I looked over at AMC, this immediate consolidation underneath VWAP where I can short 8.5, give it to VWAP. Now I'm just going to give it to 10. I actually can tighten the stop up and almost go break even on this and just stair step it to the downside. Like, why can't it flush back down into some of those previous lows? AMC, look at the daily compared to GameStop. Obviously, they had a reverse split. But this hasn't gone anywhere. This hasn't really broken out. Today was supposed to be the day that it was going to make that break. I know, because I was in it, and it wouldn't go any further. Now my 15 hates me. My 15-minute chart is usually good. But yeah, 7:15. It failed at 7:35. You got a lower high there. Yes, it was looking very strong, but once the Sympathy name went, I jumped into the short side trade. If you've been watching this show, this is something that worked a lot when you had some of the meme stocks going. If there was something driving the bus and a follower, then I loved just jumping all over the follower to make some trades for like sort of, it's not easy money, but trust me when I tell you, if you were trading the original meme phase and you thought that GameStop was going to come back down and you wanted to fade it, it was generally speaking a better trade to short costs. I'm just throwing it out there. It was safer to do because cost wasn't making as crazy moves as GME. When GameStop would go down and cost was only up on Sympathy, then cost was going to fall like an absolute rock. You got these quick little scalp trades, and it worked both ways. Like sometimes a day that GameStop had like 8 or 9 halts to the downside, I remember I missed the bottom on GameStop. You were still able to get cost 20 cents from its low with a 20-cent risk, and the thing popped like $1.50, $2 in a matter of a couple of minutes. So sometimes that Sympathy play can be good. It's like, imagine if you're trading the futures, or imagine you're trading SOXL or trading Intel or any kind of a related name, and you see SOXL make a gigantic move and you can take something in a lag. You're going to do that 10 times out of 10 because the trade's a little bit easier to execute. Speaking of Intel and the chips, the range is coming right back into the bottom. We failed that high. I already scalped some out in front of the high today. I thought this one could go. The market doesn't seem to want to. I don't think it's wise to reload this. I'll just get out if it gets underneath 10 here on Intel, and the next time it gets to the top, I'm just going to take it out. We're about to break the low of the day on the NASDAQ. It's imminent. We've already wicked it once, and we're just sort of battling with the low of the day here. If we test 16,000, it's not going to matter how strong, relatively speaking, Intel's going to be. We get to 16,000, I expect we get down to VWAP, in which case I just get out of my long. We got 40 minutes to go. We got 10 minutes to some early looks on the imbalances, or less than that. You're running out of time. It's time to start taking some profit. You can hold on to shorts because that's where the market seems to want to be heading. But the longs, you got to give them their due when you can. MM saying VVOS 20 seconds. Oh, RDHL as well. That was the other one. There was another runner. I think we mentioned this at the beginning of the show. RDHL. It was a bit of a halter. I think it was yesterday that it did the halting. But this couldn't really get going. It had one halt to the upside, immediately rejected. It's trying to get to VWAP again. It's got all kinds of support at 250. Like, that's where you should be trading this. But if you're trading the over VWAP on this today, it's been a huge trap. Every time it's busted VWAP, you've lost if you went long above VWAP and didn't get out right away. So I'd be a little cautious with this one.
Okay. All right. So it basically, GameStop just went the other way. That's all. Like, I'm still here for this break if it does happen, but looks like GameStop's going to give it up right now, back in for the close. So again, we'll have to wait for it. We did. You know, sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you don't. Like, I was 1 penny away from getting basically a full position here for me on Rivian, and that was just because I was bidding 31s. Came back in, I got the coffee, so we are now reloaded on this one. And we're going to wait to see now where it goes. We actually got filled at 30, so I just punched in some at 32 just because I was like, I want to take some 32s. But we'll still wait for 31s, and if they come in, that is the low of the day, as Neil just mentioned. They're coming in for the NASDAQ, so we are coming in now for Rivian as well. But I actually, again,
no way.
like, I think this is a good name. I mean, Rivian's really battled off this bottom. I've really, you know what stock I really liked though?
VVOS.
Moving forward, what is VVOS doing now?
VVOS
Was
opened.
Uber. Yeah.
VVOS opened at 40 something, like low 40s, got to 48. It got slammed on the bid to the downside. It got to the halt band at about 40 even, and then busted higher. So it got to the halt down, was about to halt down, and the buyers came right back in. So there was a false halt there, which, by the way, if you're trying to get in on a down halt and you get short and it doesn't go into the halt, sometimes you want to have a stop order there because that's why. It does not end up, if it halts, you're probably going to be good, at least for one round. But that bounce, it's already back at the high of the day. This is why I don't touch the stock. Like there are actually some stocks you can trade around like halt levels and some of that stuff. And maybe when it's not halting, you can make some trades, but when it's doing this, bye-bye VVOS.
Yeah, I have some bad news right now. Basically, the story is that the UAW is trying to basically unionize pretty much across the board here. They're wanting to, unprecedented push to organize 13 automakers in the U.S. That's coming from the Detroit Free Press. So that would make a lot of sense, in my opinion anyways, why this, basically this extreme move to the downside. I mean, part of why Tesla, not part of why, it is part of it, but is because of the union, and people thought that, hey, Tesla's not unionized, so they don't have to worry about the work stoppages and all that kind of stuff. And this is not a comment on if unions are appropriate for the auto industry or not. They've been there since the jump, I guess. Well, I guess not from the jump, but during this industrial revolution of ours. But as you can see, here we go, making the move back down. So I'm actually thinking that this Rivian trade probably gets somewhat squashed down through this 1728 area. We just got to fill at 1728 just now off some of those J prints right there. So there it is right now. And here comes Brendan to correct my story.
No, unrelated, completely. A little low float name going as well, Yosh, Y-O-S-H, 400, get this, 464,000 shares on this. Another one of those reverse split type things. There was actually news on this morning. They acquired a whole bunch of restaurants in Las Vegas, so it's a restaurant operator. Anyways, 500,000 share float, guys, just halted again.
It is a squeeze kind of day.
500,000 share float?
Okay.
All right. Let's go, Yoshi. Not only a great Mario character, but we're going to let's go.
I was always a Toad guy. Who are you for
we're playing a lot right now because we have all of the new courses. And wow, Mario Kart is hype right now. There's Paris, there's Rome, there's Vancouver. There's a whole bunch of new courses, and it is crazy, and I like it. The guy that I like is Funky Kong. That's right, Funky Kong. Or I don't mind using Bowser. Don't mind using some Bowser. But again, I like me some Funky Kong.
Just don't sing the song.
I like Meadow Mario as well. Yeah, you know Meadow Mario?
What do you say?
Wario, yeah, I like Wario. I like Waluigi. Basically all the bad ones.
Waluigi's legit.
I like Waluigi, but anyways.
But Yoshi has nothing to do with this stock. It's just
no, it doesn't.
Although if I was Yosh, I don't know what they do, but if they're smart, they would have something fun with it. The tap for that's 1471. 1222 is the whole price. It looks like it wants to open close to $15, but that's the lowest float of anything that we've looked at today, which I suppose we're supposed to be. I'm done being surprised by short floats. It still doesn't make sense to me, but at this point, it is what it is. I looked to see if that's a reverse split. I don't even think that was a reverse split. Actually, no, it was a reverse split, but at some point, it's like, how do you let that happen? If you have to go down to a float that small to regain compliance, should you be listed? I don't know, but it seems like it's a reasonable question to ask. The market broke the lows. Intel had to come out. So I got out close to the break even. I didn't wait for VWAP on Intel. Everything is flushing to the downside, so hold on to your shorts. It is one of those types of days. I was waiting for this. I actually didn't do this when the market got red, but the market's been red for 0.17%. But we are now red. Hold on to your short positions. I think you can do that. GameStop is clawing back up there. So the opportunity might have just arose to get some more out of AMC. If my thesis was AMC could flush, and this is GameStop on my black chart that I'm looking up at every single time, if you're making another step there to the upside, all it's doing is following it. But what do you see different? Like stair step down on a VWAP for GameStop, lower step. The first step is being put back in here on AMC. So it's not really falling as much. I now want to get out if it just gets back above my entry price, tightening it up just another couple of cents here because of what I'm seeing here. You're stair stepping down. I would have expected us to be under $7 by now. If what I was thinking was right, I think we'd be under $7. So I'm going to acknowledge that it isn't, and I don't want to risk as much on it. So tightening up the stop there. We'll hold on to Alibaba because everything about that is looking okay, and I think we're going to get to target here on Bob. As a matter of fact, it just missed me. I just want to get out in front of this higher low that it put in, 74.60. This is close enough that I should be trailing it out now. So I'm going to throw the trail in at 74.70. Again, play the range that you get. On a Chinese ADR, everything gets tightened up range-wise for me in the afternoon. You can get some big moves in the mornings, but in the afternoon, if it's a Chinese ADR, expect a little bit less volatility. You can get some price movement, but you're not going to see, if it was moving $2 in the morning, you're not going to see it move $2, generally speaking, in the afternoon. That just comes from experience. Tony Price wants to duel me. Yeah, I'll get there. I just threw my stop order, so I'm good. I'll hit the accept. I've been on a pretty decent run on Streamlabs in there. I'm sure I'm due to give it back because in the long run, usually that's how it goes. What is an ADR? Oh, so Noda Spider. It's just an American depository receipt. If you're trading, it really doesn't matter. But if you actually own it, you don't really own the shares. It's probably worth looking up on Investopedia. I'm not going to give you the best explanation for it. But if it only really matters the distinction if you are owning the shares or owning the ADR. But if you're trading it, essentially the same thing. Why it matters here that it's a Chinese name? Pretty obvious. This time of day, it's overnight, and there's going to be a little bit less volume and volatility. And you'll see this happen time and time again. Like if I pull up NIO, most of the times in the afternoon, you'll see, usually you'd see barcode action, but you'll have volatility in the morning and a lot less of it in the afternoon, second half day. Look at the volume. When it picks back up on American names, sometimes it lags here on the Chinese ones. Brendo.
Now it's just a free-for-all. CMND is 550,000 share on the float for this one, guys. So pick one. They're all going.
When they all go like this, sometimes the late adapters are the ones that start falling faster because they're just going on Sympathy because it's a low float and there might not be as much to it. So be careful chasing these.
People are saying, let me check
XOM.
out XOM. Okay, so I just wanted to say it's not going to look good now, but it was very, very light. We got out of some of this position at 20 on Rivian at 28 and 29. And our average long was 33s, I think. Maybe it was 30. Actually, I think it was 32s. So we've already taken, now we're long at 31. This is where we put on our shares, remember? So I was just not in love with what I basically mentioned there about unions. And I just thought that that's, I don't need to be in something that what I feel was like a negative catalyst. But we're going to wait to see where it goes. So, we're in it. We took out about 40% of our positions. So I'm not super happy with it, but we'll wait to see where it goes. Look, if there was more time in the day, it's 3:32, and I was actually, I have to actually prepare. I have to prepare the closing show now as well. So I just put that up. I'm thinking if there was more time in the day, I would be shorting Intel right now. Intel is so slow, and I don't know if it does make it back down into here. They've had such a great run, man. I mean, and 45 has been a great level there. I got to check back in on NVIDIA because NVIDIA I really liked 481 long. And there it is right now. We talked about that on the midday show when it was breaking into here, 481. It did break that. Went only up to 482.50. It's not like it was huge. But then look what we just stopped at again. It's Mr. VWAP came right into play again right there. So, I mean, again, another great spot in order to get involved in some names. And it's just a missed opportunity once again there to get into some NVIDIA. But I think, and I said this earlier, and it's right here on the sticky note as well, that this was the one name that I did want to dip by today if there was any relative weakness. So today, obviously there is, as the market just turned red about 5 minutes ago and continuously making new lows, it looks like. So this is good, 480. So I don't want to buy it in the middle. We're kind of in the middle. The top was 483. We're now at 481.70. The bottom was 480. So I think we are technically in the middle right now. So let's see if we can get a dip buy opportunity back down to 480 and change. So it's only $1 from now. If this market wants to give it up, fine. But I feel like NVIDIA could hold the bid a little bit. I mean, I don't want to give it all the way down to 4. The low's not even that low. It's 478.70. Like, I don't even feel like I have to hold that far against me if we were to get a 480. So let's have a look at this when it gets back down into 480. Rivian, you know, we're net about flat on this name. If it goes one more penny, we'll be flat on it. So let's wait to see if this goes. Remember, my out was up here at 43.5. Let's see if it can float back up into that range. I am acknowledging that we're at VWAP right now, but there's also 37, 38 is the 50 period. So let's put a marker up there at 37. We'll see if we can get out of 10%, 50. I just put 15% up there. We'll see if we can get out in and around this level right now for Rivian. I can maybe zoom back in to show you guys. So again, in, out a piece, averaged it at the same price, took many more shares down here. Actually, the bid was 30, not 31s. So we got some 30s there. And then we got out to 128 and then 129, as now we're starting to go back up to the upside as we did fear the Tesla move. And the Tesla move maybe, again, it's just stepping down, stepping down, stepping down, now making that move back up. If we can get to the 50 period, you got to look at a short for that as well. So right now, the market just figuring itself out. I know I'm not really in anything. I got $1 right now on GameStop. That's kind of hovering around. Again, still waiting for that break, to be honest with you. I still take it. If it breaks 16.25, we're just running out of time.
Yeah, I just got out of my last position there.
Which one?
When Baba just held right at that previous support level, 75. But I want to get to the oil names. So that one's been solid at the end of the day. But if you were looking for something, like 75 was a good short. But I don't know what's going on with the oil names right now. You saw in the chat someone was just saying, like, look at XOM. Look at the volume on X, and it's the same thing in CVX too. I checked, the first thing I saw, when I saw this go to the downside, I own shares of CVX, so I was kind of curious. It's a long-term account, so I shouldn't care what it does in like 30 minutes. But look at the volume come into this on that flush at 103. So there was the OPEC headline this morning. It feels a bit much that you'd sort of randomly drop down there. But whether it was that, XOM or Chevron in here, look at the volume spike and a big flush on a lot of these oil names. Right at the end of the day, obviously oil futures are electronic closed an hour ago. So this is fueled by what looks like it could have been a technical break on some of these stocks and Sympathy underneath. But the volume to me suggests a little bit otherwise. Ryan saying Palantir, have a look at Palantir. I'm now flat. If I find a reload, 75 reload, I wouldn't mind. If a Baba makes a nice little pop here, that could work. Palantir, I don't know. I don't see the trade. I thought you were maybe talking about Palantir being strong, but it's at the low of the day and trending right into that double bottom. That doesn't look great for Palantir here for a kind of trade or entry point. Like I said, if I get into something, it's got to be something I was looking at before at a good key level. So there's the bounce off the consolidation in Alibaba. I think I'd look to fade it off VWAP if we get there again. Still 20 minutes left in the day. Like this can set right back up at that 75 level and then jump right back into it. You just want to make sure that you're trading off of key levels, trading setups that work. You generally don't want to overtrade, and with no shorts on after getting out of the last one there, I don't want to be rushing into longs just because we happen to be around 16,000. I think that's a dangerous game to play. I think we made the right call on AMC. I got out. It did a little bit of a spike, but took it up break even. It was able to give me a small move, but the thesis didn't hold. When GameStop made another leg down, AMC bounced off that low. That's enough to be able to reassess and not give the trade as much as you could. John Yates never took advantage of crowd. You're right. Did not. And sometimes it just doesn't quite set up. When we sat down and talked about setups for the day, I basically said, and this is what was in my morning note, I was looking for crowd to do what Boeing did. And Boeing gave me the dip right into the support level I liked, the opportunity to buy at exactly the price setup with the 50-cent risk that I was looking for. And when that didn't happen on CrowdStrike, I got into a couple of other things at 9:30. And then by the time this had already made a move, I wasn't chasing it. And it ends up being the wrong decision, but you have to prioritize. If I had said, okay, well, let's look somewhere else and not have Boeing yesterday, well, then I would have missed. There we go. Like Boeing gave the dip buy, consolidated right off the same level I wanted. The dip was bigger than expected because Spirit halted, SPR halted to the downside. and that made this dip bigger. But the second Spirit opened right back up, I was able to get the long where I wanted it off of the 2150 level, and then Boeing shot up to 225. So that was the number one thing I had on my list. I thought CrowdStrike could do something similar on a gap trade where the previous resistance could come into play as support. So that was the thesis. If it doesn't play out, sometimes you just end up missing out on a different type of move. Still a long, but a move that was different than the one I was looking to make. That's all.
All right. It's only 3:30 right now. There's still
Dan loves Mullen.
still a little bit of time. Mullen? Did you just say?
You always ask about Mullen.
Let me see Mullen. M-U-L.
No.
No, I just want to see it. All right, let me see what Mullen's doing. That's only doing 50 million shares. Like, it's just so funny, some of the shares that these things do. I don't know. I mean, sometimes like I feel justified when we talk about a name and then, you know, it does these moves on reverse splits and then it just comes right back in. Like, I feel bad, obviously, because there's a lot of traders that either buy that hype, or I just hope that from a lot of you traders that are watching, and again, you know, you guys have been here for a while, you know that some of this stuff happens, and it's just like, there it goes, Mullen back down to 15 cents. I just feel horrible for anybody stuck in that, but it is what it is, as there's a lot of traders stuck in a lot of names, and yours truly as well. Okay, so just because it's 340, and I know there's a lot of traders here that always wonder about these imbalances and what exactly they mean and all that kind of jazz. Well, the market on close imbalances are coming out in 10 minutes, and what they are is right here. And so these are all from the broker right now. So WPC has a sell imbalance, WFC has a sell imbalance, AT&T. Anyways, a lot of sell imbalances coming through, but these aren't hitting the market yet. They'll hit at 350. So when 350 hits, we'll get a number. Did I get that number out already? Did we miss what that was? 685 to sell. So exactly. So you add up sort of all the notional of these names. Now you're going to notice there's no NASDAQ names on here because they're going to come directly at 350, which is going to influence the market. So I don't want to go long here on Uber now, understanding that in literally 8 minutes, you're going to get a move that happens here. And I just don't want to be caught on the wrong side. But I do want to put this in our pocket for tomorrow. I looked at it yet today. I liked Uber. They had some deal, and I don't think it's really a big deal there, but in London, they're extending the offer to the black cabs, which are just traditional. It's like in New York, you have the yellow cabs and so on and so forth. So extending that offer to them to be part of the Uber network. So I felt like that was, again, I don't know, people in London would know more about this probably than I do. I don't know how many of them there are around. I assume a lot. But that's a nice move there on Uber, just ripping up. And I just wanted to play strength. And I think we were right. In a negative market, Uber's still holding up. So I like the name. It needs to get back into these levels again. And if it falls into 20s, great right now. But I almost think it's a buy right here, right now, into the close. We just don't have too much time left. So, all right, let's go over to Brendo and handle some business.
Brought to you by IG.com. Trade Forex pairs like Euro USD with spreads as low as 0.8 pips and zero commissions at IG. Terms and conditions apply.
Make sure you get those terms and conditions in there as well. Yeah.
Always.
They do apply.
Shout out to our man, Frank Brenner, who will be back tomorrow. Old Saskatchewan in the chat just said, did I miss something? Why is the market down? I mean, you can come up with, the short answer would be because the big tech names
right.
were all weak today. Why is the market down? Microsoft, when this loads up, down 1%. We already showed you Apple and Tesla, Meta, Amazon. Again, sometimes it doesn't matter the why. However, you failed a breakout today. What were we talking about this morning? You had Ackman come out with his, basically just affirming the call that the market's been talking about, where you could be getting some cuts early next week. The market's been absolutely booming. You actually had TLT, which was going higher. I don't know if it's still going. Bitcoin had been making run. There was a lot of bullish things happening. This market's been on a huge tear, and then it proceeded to fail a breakout. And sometimes when you fail a breakout, you trap some longs, and you just want to make sure you have a quick trigger yourself to try to reverse it. Now, obviously, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I was fast enough to reverse. And there's way too many things I was still looking for longs on the bottom, but this afternoon, that's the way you've been able to make it back. Is like you get what you get back by joining the trend, generally speaking, unless you make a huge move to the upside. It doesn't always matter the why. You know what? We're a trading show, and to be honest, there's analysts that are paid to give you the why after it happens. Right, so like you'll be able to listen to them. Like after there's a move to the downside, it'll be like, and the move to the downside today in the NASDAQ caused as blah, 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 insert that. We're just here for the price action. That's what a trader should concern himself with. If you have a theory and a bias, there's nothing wrong with that. All you need is confirmation from the market and the price action, and then you're good to go. But you can have all the theories you want. If the price action's telling the other thing, it doesn't matter. If I think the market's going up today and it stair steps down, I can't do anything about that. Everything I thought this morning, I thought for a reason, and when it was wrong, I had to eventually move on to the shorts, and if I didn't, it would have been a worse day. We do have, look, we got GDP in 6 minutes. No. Huh? No, we don't have a number in 6 minutes. The only thing we had this afternoon was some Fed speakers, which I didn't even think it was that big of a deal.
Maybe they meant we have the imbalance.
No, we have the imbalances in 6 minutes.
Yeah.
If that's what you meant. CDP.
And of course, a GDP number, of course.
Well, I mean, if they release numbers at 350, then whoever made that decision would need to be fired from it pronto. The reason I have no positions, I covered the only shorts I had. The first one in the afternoon was Meta, and then I just recently got it out of Alibaba. At that bottom, I would like to get a reload at VWAP if I can at 75. I don't know if we're going to get that. I was also in Intel, a couple of reloads late on that one. It couldn't hold the top end break and broke down. And then the other trade I had on was AMC. Took AMC when GameStop flopped, made a little move to the downside and then broke back out. So sometimes you're sitting there, holding on to something, but pretty much everything resolved itself, and now it's 345. Generally don't get into trades at this time. This tight into 350 unless it's a really, really good setup and level. That's why I'm looking for that 75 level again on Alibaba. I'm trying to be pretty patient with that. I suppose, I was looking at GameStop in there, but like GameStop is a stock with potential to make a big move either way at the close, just given what it's already done. Could it break VWAP? Could it break down on a fail break at 16? Fail break 16 would be an interesting setup for a quick scalp trade into this local bottom. Because if it breaks here and then flushes back in, you could short 16.15, try to get a move down into 15.60 with 10 cents risk, 15 cents risk, try to get a 40 to 50 cent move. That's a possibility. But we're running out of time for that to happen. It has to set up. A trade to me has to set up where I've got a reason, entry, exit point, where I'm wrong. If I don't see it, I don't do it.
Yeah, OPEC mulls new oil production cuts. So that was some of that. Yeah, I was actually just going to talk about GameStop myself, but the thing is that I don't have that break now. It's kind of sad. I just don't think there's enough time left to take that, but I do like it, and we are going to be. If you like some of the GameStop trading today, guys, wait till tomorrow. I'm going to be on this stock tomorrow as well with claws out for this name. So here it comes right back upside again. We talked about sort of it basing out here and then going the other way. Well, it just based out again and now it broke the other way upside. So it's too bad because I would have been like, okay, we'll punch long basically right here, 15.95, which would have given you 10 cents, but let's be patient with it. Tesla's bouncing back. Yeah, Palantir, I'm still happy with that out. I know it went down to 80. When you're doing this, you're happy, so it's good. And then obviously Rivian's my last trade. Let's just find out what's happening with Tesla now. So basing out at 243. We wrote down here today 244 long. That's the only level we wrote down for Tesla. So realistically, we could just be kind of messing around with it right here as it seems to be 243, 244 over the last 20 minutes or 30 minutes has been a pretty key situation right there. So, definitely worth having a quick look at some of those levels here again if it comes into play tomorrow. I'm talking like this because today's done. I know it's 3:48 and there's still 12 minutes to go, but we're going to get these imbalances coming out and they are going to affect the market. And quite frankly, shout out to anybody who's frank out there, I just think that there's, Rivian could come a big sell or a big buy. And that's that 50-50 experience that I don't really want to have right now. I'm not, when you're spinning on Streamlabs and you're doing stuff that doesn't matter, fine. But when you're trading, down here, it's like I got to make a decision. And that's why, like, you know, I was a little bit nervous getting out of Tesla there. But again, it was the day's low, and we made that decision. Sometimes you have to make those decisions. So we'll wait. Only a minute and a bit to go. Like I said, I am pretty strongly debating, honestly, just getting out of some of this Rivian and just calling it a day. But let's gamble with this. We only have half of our position. We have 60% of our position left. And I'm giving it to 17.25 anyways. So if we break below that, then we'll take a 6-cent hit, call it a day. I still think there's a chance it goes up. And if it goes up, I think 17.50, 17.40. So more than 6 cents on the upside if we're right. Downside is 6 cents. There's only 45 seconds left as Tesla right now getting revved up, as Cybertruck getting ready to get released tomorrow. Here goes Tesla, and the move is what it is off that 244.
So I've figured this out. I win on Streamlabs when you say spin, and I'm like, oh, that's a good time to do it. And I just type in spin. Like I think I've been winning like 50% of the time if someone has said spin on the stream, and then I go ahead and do it. But there was a good question just now, and it's not about the why, but the question was why, or the question was how can Paramount be at the high of the day when the market's at the low? The why doesn't necessarily matter, but at this time of day, if you're done your trades, you're not going to put anything on for the next 10 minutes. We don't swing trade here on these accounts, right? Like we're in and out for the day. So, you know, if you can consider like a good time to enter swings, it's not bad to enter swings at the end of the day. That actually is a good time to be buying in a general sense in the market. It's better than buying the open. There's papers about it if you're interested in reading them. I just care that it is relatively strong. That's what matters. What's relatively strong, what's relatively weak? It is at its high of the day when the market's at the low. That's enough for me. You can leave the why to everybody else. Is it at a big level? Yes, it's at a big level as well. Like look at this resistance, previous resistance, because it's through 14 quarter, which was support. This is a stair-step breakout. So there's your big parabolic move up, pull back to a higher low, consolidation off of the local high, and the next step is to break the consolidation up. Now, I don't think necessarily it does the obvious thing and go to 16. That'd be nice if you took this long. We don't, like I said, we don't swing trade, so all I can do is write Paramount 14.25 to 14.50 on my iPad tomorrow morning, and if we're fortunate, then a breakout around this level or a consolidation break from this level is available, and it's just a good setup. So Paramount, you're up 4%, don't know why, they're not gonna care, and because, why not? VVOS did in fact make the top at 48.79. So that was that last move. It ended up halting down. It's now halted to the upside again. So it bounced off at $36 to halt at 41. So yeah, it's off the highs. It's only up.
Might not reopen.
It's only at 835%. So I don't think it's going to reopen till 4. It should not. This last halt was at 350. 350 in 36 seconds or something like that. If a stock halts within the last 10 minutes, then it reopens regardless of the reason. Well, regardless of the timing of it. If in the last 10 minutes, it reopens at 4 o'clock. So if you have post-market trading, you're good to go if that's your thing. But 4 o'clock, this will open up. It's indicating a flat open, 41 halts, 41 open, 800% to the upside. Spin a few of these bad boys today. My advice is, if you trade this early, that's generally speaking where the risk to reward is more manageable and reasonable. Like if you took this on a 14 break, you could have reasonably had an out at like 12.50, and then you're risking like 10%. Yeah. Right? Like if you're trading it up here, like risking 10%, you might not even be able to only lose 10% because it can halt on you, then 10% becomes 20%, and then bad things can happen. But like get it early, and that's one thing. I'm not really looking for these early enough, I think, if you're trying to make this kind of plays. Max was good at it for a hot minute, and then he started going back to Tesla.
Yep. Always go back to Tesla.
All roads.
Yeah, exactly. All roads lead to Tesla. Yeah, something like that. Okay, so again, good. We got 1620. So there wasn't much here on the imbalances, man. I mean, Pac West is here. That's an interesting name. I mean, maybe something to look at again for us at some point is Pac West.
Oh, that deal's closing.
Okay, so yeah, so right there, 2.8 million right there. Splunk had a good report as well. I thought Splunk got bought out. I I talked about that on the after show that we got to do some research on that. But there you go,
right.
Palantir with a bid as well. Yeah, join me in just a couple of minutes. I'm going to slide over there almost ASAP right now as we get ready for that closing show. But okay, so just quickly there, just because you guys might be wondering, like, what up with GameStop and where did it go? It didn't go anywhere except for out. So there it was. We just got out right now. We waited for that moon. It didn't happen. Well, it did happen. We just... we were like, I don't know, dancing on the moon there. We didn't take it, but we should have. So there it goes. Nice upside move. We'll take it back at view up and be pretty happy with it. This is the breakout spot. Honestly, if there was about a half hour left in this market, I'd be blasting that right now. But I got to get set up for the close, and even regardless of the recap show or anything like that, right now, as Neil mentioned, we are flat at the end of the day. So if you're, I got to cancel. I still have the Rivian stop in. So that was my next point. I got to go. Like, Rivian's not doing anything right now, so I might just have to tap now, and then honestly be flat on the stock. Like, it's not, tap. It's not a great stock here for me. Well, it is. It's just I can't wait for it to go. So Rivian's not doing anything. Picked a non-mover here into the close. Thought there was a good chance. It's right at the bottom. Just the market really didn't do anything here. So nor did R to the I to the V to the N. So there it is. We'll take some 34s, as I literally just put it there and it blasts the whole level. So we'll take out some 34s on Rivian and unfortunately have to end this trade right now. As it's 3:54, we'll see what happens here into the close. But yeah, there's MSCI rebalance today, I believe.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got rebalances. Remember, Bank BANC is merging with PACW. That's the reason. Like, that deletion is today for PACW. So PACW is coming off the exchange. If you own shares of PACW, you're going to now own shares of BANC. That's why you see that as a big imbalance on PACW, $4 million to the sell side. You also have Spirit Airlines is $2.3 million to the sell side. Intel always pairs off, but that's $1.1 million to buy. Not really a reason to trade. Sean already mentioned Splunk. None of the big names are over $1 million here, so it's not as if there's anything to see outside of that index action,
right?
As I said. So I'm not like, I mean, you can sometimes trade off of that. Like, if you were looking at PACW as a delete, sometimes you can trade off. But remember, in a specific case, see, like this time on the sell and bounce, like, look at it work. But what I would caution for this, come to the chart, because PACW on that sell and bounce did this. When it's an all-stock transaction, it doesn't always work that way. I've seen the other thing happen, where sure, it's going to fall because it's a deletion, but if you're just getting shares of the other thing, well, when that goes to the downside, if somebody wanted to own shares of BANC, well, don't you think it would behoove them to be able to take advantage of a drop in PACW like that? And that arbitrage play, I've seen traders get burned on that by going short because it's sell and bounce on the acquiring company, and then it's an all-stock deal, and then something goes to the upside. But this is why sometimes imbalances can move the market when you have a look at that. Overall, it was $1.25 billion to the sell side. Even TLT had a sell imbalance. 3.3 million sell imbalance on TLT, but look at that. It dropped all of 10 cents when that imbalance came out. And at 355, a lot of times things will start pairing off there. PACW kind of staying at that 3 million, which is probably why you're seeing it fall. TLT paired off. So it was a 10-cent move on that 3 million sell imbalance on TLT, and then it comes right back in. I've never really seen, we've seen big imbalances on the 20-year Treasury ETF, but it's not as if I've seen it move the markets all that much. I see GameStop, and I was watching that. Again, I would have looked at a possible pop and fade. This ran out of time for anything like this. Like, sure, it might be above VWAP now, and it might fail back underneath it, but there's not, with 2.5 minutes to go, that's not a trade I'd make anytime. There needs to be time for it to work. Like, if I'm making that trade, I need time for it to be able to get down to 65, 70, if it can. Victor Hoffman, can you guys have them talk about sell and bounces tomorrow during the training? That's a good idea. I mean, I'm going to say this out loud because I know right now Adair is listening. These are planned, the midday show, Learning to Trade, they're planned lessons, and a lot of effort gets put into this is the topic and it's what you're going to do. The idea being you start with some of the basics and then work your way down the line. At some point, talking about auctions is going to be a part of it. Right? Like, that's something, it matters for halt trades, it matters at the open, it matters at the close. Right? It's something that you can talk about when it comes to like how they come up with the auctions, bid ask, what an imbalance is, how do they come up with the price. All these things are very interesting, but there are planned lessons, so we can't just say, hey Sharif, throw out whatever you're going to talk about tomorrow and then talk about this. But we will make sure that that is a future topic. It's an important one. We do bring it up every single day, so definitely not a bad idea there. I want to see what's going on back. You know what? GameStop's a big one. Obviously, it's been those low float runners that have been going as well, but there was that last one, VVOS, out of morbid curiosity. I want to see where it opens at 4 o'clock, so if I'm somewhere, it's going to be looking at this at 4 o'clock. Just curious to see where it's going to open. I won't be putting any positions on at this time of day. In the afternoon, in the after show, there are some earnings to get to, the big one being Salesforce in the market recap. That's easily the big one that I'll be watching. I own shares of Salesforce. A few people in the chat have talked about being interested in that one as well. So I think that's the place to go in terms of looking for price movement. Definitely some big action. Sean's going to have it for you live. Whether they beat or not has not always mattered. Sometimes you can beat and go to the downside anyways because you're coming off all-time highs, or at least 52-week highs. With only 30 seconds to go, I see Adara making the move over there. The last time I checked, the NASDAQ bounced off 16,000, but we are still looking pretty red. Not a great day, but the good news is we have made the bounce off 16,000, so that support is intact. You know what you got to do right now, which is get the camera off my ugly mug. Get it on over to Adara for the countdown, which is on. Nice kicks, by the way. In less than 10 seconds, we've got 5, we got 4, 3, 2, 1, and ring it. Market is closed. VVOS opened to not much fanfare. It opened at like $40, and it's heading. Actually, went to 38 and bounced back up to 41. So not exactly a moonshot off of that close. That's fine. It didn't really have to do anything. I just wanted to see where it happened. The market went down 0.1%. This thing was 850% to the upside because it has no float. And there were a few of those today. A trade is a trade. You just make ones that work, and if this is your cup of tea, more power to you. Shout out to Fabian and Ramin, as always, doing a great job on the 1s and 2s. We enjoyed the midday show, getting our learn on. Adara, you just saw her, and Sharif doing a bang-up job as always. I want to shout out to Brendan, giving us the breaking news pretty much all day long. You know who I am, and you know where you are headed. It's right back on over to the desk. We've got the market recap show, Salesforce earnings. Don't disappoint us, Mr. Benioff. Let's go.
Yo, what's up, traders? Thank you for joining me as we start our market recap show. And we got a sector recap going. Chris Bretcher joining us. And we've got some big time earnings coming through immediately. We're going to watch some VVOS. We're going to watch everything that's moving in the aftermarket. We do have Benzinga Pro with us right now. So if that can hit, we'll be able to watch to see if anything comes flying through here in the aftermarket. I think we should be able to find out CRM. We do have, I'm just loading up my email here. So if anything flies through, I can get some messages. We do also have Snowflake. I love me some Snowflake. I mean, SNOW, very, very similar. Big data. We talked about Palantir and loving those guys. Let's watch out for Frank Slootman and Snowflake coming through very, very soon. Of course, you all might know Slootman from ServiceNow, but look at Snowflake, man, a great little bottom there of 140. Let's see where we go now. That's a daily chart for SNOW as we await right now earnings to come through. I do also have, I want to say thank you to Trade Ideas. We do have the Trade Ideas scanner to hit right now. So anything that pops off here, let's just make sure we refresh these and get it going. So anything that hits in the aftermarket, like VVOS, right now will show its face on here, and we will get all of those earnings ASAP. My Benzinga hasn't refreshed since 356. So maybe that is, hopefully that is the last little bit there, and we will continue to watch out for Snowflake. I'm seeing a little bit of a move up here in the aftermarket, but I don't think that's what's going to be. So we'll wait to see about that one. I'm looking at a 190 kind of break to the high side right now. Bear with me just for 1 second. I'm just going to log into my P-Pro 8 platform as well. What a good day it has been for the market. As you can see, we do have, let's close this, put this over here. We do have the sector recap to go. As you can see, we saw Pac West today on that imbalance locator at the end of the day. Just hold on a second, I'm just logging in. I don't know if anyone wants to see my password or not. Right there, KRE today up to $45. I mean, if we click on this, we'll see what this move is looking like. breaking through the 200 period. We get that deal between PAC and JPM apparently closing, as I think Neil was mentioning that earlier on today, just at the close. But 45.27 coming into play again back in. We did get news right at the end of the day about Saudi Arabia and oil possibly mulling over some more cuts there. I believe that's what it was. So more cuts to me would mean that maybe we should get a bump up because if you're going to cut production, that's not good when you're talking about supply and demand. So all of a sudden, if supply goes the other way, there's USO right there with a nice little bump up. Let's just check it out on a 5-minute chart or so, see what that action, there it is. So boom goes the dynamite on that news story right there. Boom, from 70 up to 72. Oil was getting buried, I guess, earlier, and then a nice move back up. Let's see where USO is here on a daily chart again for that. As I'm just going to keep on looking here. There we go. So now we're updating again. Five Below comes out with a report today, FIVE. We can check out what that's doing. Again, 188 up to 196 there for Five Below with a nice little report coming out. There's CRM, guys. Unfortunately, I don't even have the stream loaded yet. So let's just take a quick look here. I got to get over to YouTube ASAP. I was a little bit late on logging in today, so I can't shout out to everybody that's here, but I will shout out to CRM. There it goes. It's a nice move up, $239. And guess what? Ciao. I spent about 30 minutes or so yesterday with Matteo after the market, and we talked all about big tech, and I was like, just buy everything, dude. There it goes. There's CRM breaking up out of their range, hopefully going to take out this high back from July. That's what we're always looking at, man. We're looking at these July highs, right? So here it coming in right here, 231. We do officially smash that, take it out with CRM earnings. So let's go over and have a quick look. This is it right here. EPS, it's a banger, 211 versus 206. Revenues, 8.7 versus 8.7. So revenues seems a little bit light, actually. They wind up missing on revenue. 8.72 versus 8.728 at the end of that one. So we'll see a miss there. But let's just check out what the guide is all about. Oh, no, wait a second. That was Salesforce 2024 adjusted EPS. Oh, Q3. Here's their Q4 adjusted EPS. So that's what we're looking at. Why do they have Q3 and Q4 here? 225. Oh, this is the guide. Okay, good. So 225 to 2 versus 198. That's where we get it from. So we get the Q4 adjusted earnings EPS looking to get between 225 to 226, crushing estimates of 198. So that's it right there. Looks like about a 13% or so increase in adjusted EPS moving forward, which of course means that you're going to get the move up in revenue. So nicely done, man, again for these guys. Year over year, forward year, 818 versus 735. Congratulations again. We'll hit a couple bangers out for you now as we go. I don't know, I don't think we got a market recap tweet again, so I don't know if it's out there or not. I'm just gonna click on the stream and we will get that going. There's Benzinga giving us CRM, so let's go over to see what the stock is doing again. So there we go, CRM, nice little upside move, breaking through 240 and looking to go higher. So it's a nice move there for CRM. And again, thank you so much. You shouldn't have to switch streams. So if you're here, I want to thank you for that. And I'm just going to get it going right now. Pop this out. Let's get this chat going. Who's here? Snow is out, everybody's saying. So let's go. Let's see what's up with Snowflake. Please, please, please. Bang for Snowflake as it's coming out, 190 right there. We like it. We like it a lot. We talked about that 190. Let's go. Yeah, your boy's excited. You know we're in Snowflake. Nice move to the upside right there, 190, 192. As Snowflake says, let it snow. You know, I went outside this afternoon and I was like, let me go see what's up with the snow. And it was snowing, just un petit peu, just a little bit. But we'll see here, what does Snowflake have to say? Their Q3. Oh, ho-hum, wow. Q3 right now, 25 cents versus 16 cents. You would think that I'm like a hype machine for these stocks, but really, I'm just excited for everybody out there. I know there's net longs, and there you go again. 2 AI plays, Snowflake, get on my back. CRM, get on the back. We're going higher. It's a nice move there for Snowflake. Come back over to the screen quickly if you can. Who's running the ones and twos over there? Is it my guy Fabian? What's up, Fabian? We like Fabian over there. There it is, 25 cents versus 16. It's a nice revenue number. We like it, man. That's good for Snowflake. So there it goes. Nicely done, back up to the upside. Let's do a quick little roll call because we did miss that right there as we go. Who's here with us right now? What's good says success is inevitable. I believe success is inevitable. You just got to work hard, no matter what you're doing. Work hard at it, and you'll see. You'll get. Like my daughter never even played hockey a year and 2 months ago. Now she's on a rep team getting scouted for more. So what's up with that? And she works harder than anybody I know. So I got to give a big shout out to you, Gia. I love you so much, and I love you, my wife, for supporting everything. And I got to give a big shout out to women's hockey, which is making moves right now. And my son plays hockey. Shout out to you, Baron, as well. So shout out to that. Just not as passionate as his sister. There it is. Shout out to Ponzi Fonzie. What's up, D-Loaf and Ponzi Fonzie? Hadouken, he goes. Jameson, really happy with that one. So shout out to Street Fighter. If I say we're working on a Trader TV Live meetup, that would be a lie. But I do think that if we ever did meet up, Street Fighter, me versus you, let's go and see who comes out victorious there. So it looks like Snowflake's a nice upside move up to 192. Again, we do have Chris Bretcher coming on, and me and Chris passed some emails around. He wants to talk about support and resistance. But look at Snowflake. Oh yeah, Chris, if you're watching, remember I talked about Microsoft at 360. We like that one a lot. There we go, 200 right now for Snowflake. A nice little move up there. I think Snowflake breaks that 200 level, and when it does, see you later. Give that another 10% upside there. Let's just check out CRM real quick. I know I'm not doing a heck of a great job talking about the sectors today, but we did get a couple good reports, and there's CRM. Is this all-time highs for Salesforce? I'm thinking no, but let's double check. Yeah, see, so there it is right there. So we are right. Sometimes our Spidey sense is there. We own Spidey sense. We own Salesforce in our own account. We're not stuck up here, but there it is, 300. So this name, if you're looking for something, we'll figure out its PE a little bit later. But again, we talked about it. Most of the mega cap names are either at 52-week highs, which Salesforce is right now, breaking through, or we are near all-time highs. So Salesforce has a little bit of catch-up to do to all-time highs. Another name that has some catch-up to do to all-time highs is going to be Mr. Stressla, giving me a little bit of stress as we continue to trade that every single day. All right, the TLT. I have it up here because, again, rates moving around again today. The TLT, as rates get higher, TLT, the stock's going higher as well. As rates come lower, TLT making a move in. They're $92, looking for that bounce spot. If we see 100, I'd be surprised. But again, TLT has some work to do back up to the upside. Watch out for that $100 break. The housing sector, a big one here today. I have some pretty interesting tweets to talk about, so we will get through that after we deal with Chris and after he comes on. The big thing tomorrow, Cybertruck event coming through. Look at the home builders. We were short. I'm going to take a little bit of a drink here. Give me a second. We're only on our 5th hour of relentless stock coverage right now. We don't have nothing's in the ear. We don't have a producer. We don't have anything. We're just sitting here giving you the goods on the show every single day. So if you could like the stream, support the stream, that would be absolutely fantastic. Tweet it out, pass it along to all your friends. Traders stay late, and that's what we're doing for sure. I like that toque there, Dara. She's got the toque on right now, walking around, so it must be cold outside. We're going to see 8 degrees tomorrow, so that's a good one there, 8 degrees Celsius. That's probably about 45, maybe a little bit higher than that. I don't know. Fahrenheit, so that's a good one for us. We talked about also the SMH. Look, I actually think, which camera is this? This one? I actually think that the SMH and NVIDIA is kind of where I want to be. I'd actually almost rather be in the SMH than in the NASDAQ. I'm so heavily weighted right now in Microsoft and in Google and in Apple that's kind of like, it's kind of like the NASDAQ 100 right there. You got 22% with those first 2 names, and you got another, I think Google's 6 or 7%, so you're roughly in around 25 to 30% of the weighting of the S&P or of the NASDAQ just with those 3 names. Add on other names like Amazon, which I believe is 4%. I threw that at Neil. He wasn't sure about NVIDIA, but I knew it was 4%. That's a hard one. I didn't know that before reading it the day before. So look at the SMH right here. Trying to take out 160, and we did that. To me, it's this bounce that already happened down here at 140 on the SMH. This is a weekly chart, but if you go to a daily, that was supported by the 200 period moving average right there. So I really like this, and I think with NVIDIA actually making some dip moves right now, that instead of buying this name, if you buy the SMH, you get them all. I like chips. I like what we're doing with AI right now, and Lay's, I bet you can't eat just one. So if you're eating those chips, watch out. But I like semis here to the upside with NVIDIA and SMH. Let me know when we're ready with Chris. I mean, okay, he's ready. He's ready to rock and roll. All right. The other name here that I missed that I thought I wanted to get involved in a little bit here was IWM. This is going to be the Russell. We know about the Russell 2000. These are going to be small to lower cap names, mid cap names. As rates change, I feel like these little guys do have a great chance to rip up there. Watch out for 180. We're starting to break a little bit higher. This 181 that we've wicked higher. You also have the 200 period moving average. I kind of like what we're doing right here in the name of IWM. Okay, GLD as well. I know there's a lot of traders on gold. Gold right now bouncing its head off of what high is this? It's March highs. I was going to say, I knew it's not the summer. March highs right now. Gold looking to break out. And I think it was Michael that was looking at a monthly here. Oh, God. All right. Uh-oh. We disappeared. Let's go over. Nope, that's not going to work. All right, we've disappeared on this one. So let me just go back over, call up a daily chart. But there was some cup and handle action happening on the weekly for that, or the monthly. I'm going to have Michael Noss back on to discuss that. But gold looking like it wants to go higher, which is no real surprise, as we've had Bitcoin making some moves lately as well, trying to break through that 38,000, as more and more people do not trust the Federal Reserve and what's exactly happening with money supply in this world. What's Turkey's interest rate now, like 70% or something? It just continues to go higher and higher. And unfortunately, this world needs money to go around. And also gold? I don't think so, but as an investment, you might get some safety here with GLD. All right, it's time for our, how many viewers do we have, first of all, right now? All right, 2,400 of you. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, because right now, it's Mr. Brecher and Trader Talk. Hey now, it's Chris. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
My mood is always pretty much the same. I don't know if you could tell. We're really excited about this. We've had a great move up. The bull market continues. The run continues to happen. We talked about that 260 Microsoft level. That's been a banger. We're looking at Affirm. We're looking at Tesla. And hey, what color did you get your Cybertruck?
Yeah. Just to let you know, I thought about you last week. Thanksgiving we spent with my son in Charleston, and we had fresh cranberry sauce.
Oh,
so
fresh?
I was thinking of you. Not canned. We had fresh.
I'm going to say fail on that one, Chris, because that's too bougie for me. We keep it real here and go with the canned. You open up that Ocean Spray, you drop it down there, and you got to make sure it has the indentation on it, and then you just slice a little piece. But hey, shout out, man. Mad love for fresh.
By the way, you talk about your call on Microsoft. I think your call on PANW was the best. That's your best this year. That was an amazing call after earnings. It got to what, 225?
Hey guys, everybody please clip this and then retweet it as much as you can, because I appreciate that love. Yeah, look, I like PanW. And you tell me, Chris, like when you're holding something maybe for a little bit of a longer term account, I know you're probably 40, 50 years away from retiring, similar to myself here. In that retirement account, I like to play stocks that have the good macro story as well. So we wait for some of these names to drop down. I really like cybersecurity. So for me, PanW's been a name that I've been buying for a long time. I like the induction into the, I think it was the NASDAQ 100 earlier this year as well. So I really do like that stock. And we got some good reports from Crowd and Zscaler.
Yeah, the PANW. I wanted to show you.
Sure, let's go.
I mean, I got to show you look at that. I hope you can see my screen.
We
You
can.
called the bottom. I mean, you called the bottom right there, right when I was on.
Yeah, well, you know what? The sun shines on a dog's, you know what, a couple times a day. So that sometimes it will work out. To me, though, Chris, it's all about the process, as you know, right? We can sit here, call tops, call bottoms pretty much all day long. It's just a matter of what gets you to that point. You know, we had Brian Shannon on the other day. He's an anchor VWAP kind of guy, and he anchored his VWAP on that NVIDIA call all the way down to 470. It printed 470 and ripped to 500 right after that. It's about the process that we can recapture every single time. So with that being said, let's go over one of my favorite topics, and I know you want to talk about it right now. Let's go over some examples of support and resistance and what you look at as a trader.
All right, right there. I mean, you were talking about PANW, you were pounding the table like under 230. And that on the right, the gray is the after hours. But look on the left, and you could see that gap right here at 226. And this is non-pre-market or after hours. So it sold off right to that support zone. Right there, right to that support zone. That was beautiful. But there's another thing that you and I had talked about with PANW is it's a takeover candidate.
Right.
So when some of the other ones got taken over, it just really, really helps when PANW has bad earnings. You're like, well, not only is it at support, but it becomes more attractive a takeover candidate. So you had more than one reason to pile in at that price. And the best part is, you still had a chance pre the next morning when you saw that thing on the right, that bull flag. The problem is most people get annoyed when you tell them it's a better buy at 240 than 225. But at least the direction was known. But right there at that support was just seemed like a low risk entry point because number one, it was at support. Number two, it becomes even more of an attractive takeover candidate.
Yeah, we talked about that. I mean, even with littler names like a Zscaler and stuff like that. I mean, PANW, if you come over to my screen right now, let's just find out what the market cap is exactly. So it's $91 billion. So, I mean, it could be a share. I more look for something like a ZS possibly. And we did talk about Splunk a little bit. Where's this market cap? 29 billion. Wow, they're all so huge right now. CrowdStrike as well, 53 billion. Oh my God. Chris, some of these values are really getting extended a little bit. All right, let's go for tomorrow. So right now, I don't know if you saw the move in USO today. US oil had quite a nice move. And I don't know if you're looking at this. Saudis came out today. We're getting to the downside, and they talked a little bit about possibly cutting some of the supply back in for USO back down in a little bit. So I don't know. And we can look at oil. Unfortunately, on the Trade Ideas platform right here, we just have ETFs. But I kind of like oil where we are right now. I've been talking about XLE, but you're bouncing around this 50-period moving average on USO, and I guess it's probably something similar, for XLE as well. I look at the macro situation, and I just think that if anything gets extended over there in the Middle East, and unfortunately, this is life, and we have to deal with these situations. I don't mind oil or anything down here at these levels. Is there anything that maybe you can scare me away from the long, or do you like the long down here in and around some of these levels?
Well, number one, just to let you know, we were in it when I was on where you and I both liked USO, and I liked it because of the unusual call activity and went and filled that gap right here, right at that 74. And then what's odd is, I think similar charts have similar expectations. Look at Zscaler's the opposite way on how it sold off and filled the gap. That's pretty cool. So I think everything's cool with the market, but I think that's pretty cool. And in answer to your question about USO, on the one hand, you have the Fed beige book that's talking about how that there are a lot of things looking weaker than they did. But on the other hand, you definitely have the geopolitical and you have that trend line. So that trend line looks like it's broken up. And if you're right, it's going to get here, and it's sort of this before your time. That's like a Neil Sedaka pattern that breaking up is hard to do above there. But over 74, you're talking about 76 or higher. So definitely I see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
with this sort of inverse head and shoulders here. It's just you have those little resistance areas. If it could get over that 74 this time, definitely fill the gap here. And then you have that bigger trend line. So you have that trend line all the way to here.
Yep.
I mean, that's pretty impressive. Yeah, that could go half that amount at the minimum, which that's about 14 points. So a 50% retracement would get you, to right in here. Would get you right in that area. So I probably added wrong, but let's say 8 points, 76 right there. And that's probably what you're looking at also, is that area.
Yeah, I mean, I was just, basically when it all comes down to it, it's just like I want to try to hold for a little bit even longer anyways. So I just feel that, and I know you talked about before my age or before my time and everything like that. Do you remember when the market would go up and that means oil would go down, and then there was that inverse relationship for a while? That doesn't seem to be happening now either anymore. As we just wait, and you used to be able to maybe hold energy as a hedge, but right now, I mean, it's kind of just hovering back and forth. Do you own an electric vehicle, by the way, or are you still a combustible engine kind of guy?
No, it's really funny because there are a lot of sites where somebody stands in front of their Lamborghini. So my wife and I were going to stand in front of our Honda minivan.
Oh, I like that. I like to see RV
but
there.
no, we still have our Honda minivan, and that's good enough. But I'm really tempted to get an electric vehicle, but we just haven't yet because we have a bunch of dogs, and it doesn't
Those damn dogs.
feel right to trash a car with all our animals.
I like that. Is that a Honda Odyssey?
Yes.
Yeah, I like the Honda. What color?
Gray, which I think everybody, in fact, I went to a doctor one time, and I'm a little worn out after the doctor. We're not going to talk about what kind of doctor. And there was
We may know by now.
And I opened the door, and it was the wrong van, and there was somebody sitting in the van.
What?
So,
Okay.
but gray minivan, sort of the normal one that people have.
Is there one trade maybe, because you've given that one day you gave us UPS, a lot of traders really enjoyed that kind of a call. Is there anything maybe specifically that our traders can look forward to possibly tomorrow, some kind of a breakout, or maybe even something that you and some of the traders are holding right now? Anything you want to discuss before I let you go?
Well, I agree with you about IWM stocks, but I definitely agree about biotech stocks within it.
Okay.
Because they don't have as much debt, even though if they don't have much of a cash flow, they have to issue stock. A lot of them already have.
So are you
So I like scanning for biotech stocks.
Okay.
Or
when you
just buying the XBI.
Okay.
Just buying the XBI or buying some spreads. So buying some upside call debit spreads in the XBI probably for January seems the way to go to me.
Interesting question here. So the XBI is, so I look at the IBB, which is iShares. The XBI is just is it the Invesco? It's a spider. Okay. So basically both biotech. When you just mentioned you scan for stocks, what is it exactly are you looking for? Are you just looking for chart setups? Are you looking for a percentage down on the month and maybe a retracement back up? Are you looking for stocks that have a certain EPS? When you're talking about scanning for stocks, what exactly, maybe one or two parameters that you look for?
No, that's great that you asked that. I was actually sharing on the site today about FinViz, and what we were doing on FinViz or on Trade Ideas is we were scanning for things that were like GME and reverse engineering.
Okay.
So what we were doing is looking for stocks that have at least 300,000 volume, that are optionable and shortable, over $5. We were looking for short interest at least 10%, and then stocks that are down at least 20% this year and over their 20 moving average. And it's actually like 100 of them. But that kind of idea, you definitely want to combine it with a chart pattern. But that kind of idea, when you see GME starting to do this,
oh yeah,
you got to think of looking for more that are sort of already starting to move. And the key on these to me is if they get over their 20 moving average, it just seems like people start piling into them.
Yeah, Chris. Today, GME, I mean, it was one of my #1 names here on the sticky note. I mean, we were trading it like crazy here today. Come over to my screen. We actually had 15 bottoms. We didn't even get out when it went to 1760, and we had to get on VWAP at the end of the day at $16. But yeah, GME in the extended volume, definitely on radar over here. All right, Chris, thank you so much. Everyone can find you over there. Let's go back to the two-shot if you can. Fabian, thank you so much. Everyone can find you at Simpler Trading. It's Chris Brecher. Thank you so much. And they can find you driving around in a gray Honda Odyssey as well. So thank you so much, Chris. And we'll say hi to your kids for me, and we'll see you next week.
Okay, thanks for having me on again.
Ciao, my friend. That's Trader Talk, and that's Mr. Chris Brecher. Okay, I mean, all kidding aside there, I mean, what a great guy. And, you know, that's pretty much a good minivan there, the Honda Odyssey. I know some friends that own that one, and that's been a good one. I had the Town and Country when we had kids, very, very small, in a van, and that was Chrysler. And that was a good one at the time. I felt like it. All right, before we go over some interesting tweets, I'm going to run out of time very, very soon. Let's go over to CRM right now. So quickly, I just want to call up some stocks that had reported. CRM, let's go. 246, a great move up, man. As a shareholder here, you can hear that the excitement in my voice. We're also shareholders in Snowflake, so let's see what's going on with that one. Nice upside move to 193. We did talk about possibly finding some resistance up there, upside on CRM in and around 2 bills. If you go over to the daily chart, just real quick here, bear with me, and then we'll see it. That's a 60-minute chart, daily chart right here on Snowflake. There's 200, man. Pretty, well, actually, no. That's 193. That's actually where we stopped today. Look at this. There's one. Wow. Okay. Sometimes like the charts really amaze me where they can literally stop on a dime even in the aftermarket. I mean, look at this level. If we can go big screen on this actually, Fabian, because I think this is pretty important. 193. Like those were the tops back in August and in June that came into play. And there's the top again, 193.75, almost to the penny right there. So we'll wait to maybe fade that tomorrow as we continue to trade. All right, we're running out of time, so let's do something pretty cool. This is a new one, man. And I said it was going to be called Sean's tweets, something like that. But let's go over today's tweets. I'm going to fix that up. Something creative. You guys tell me a name here in chat where you want me to call this, and we'll look at it up later. But all right, some pretty interesting things here. 4 legends and their top holdings. Go find me at Trader TV Sean. Warren Buffett, Mr. Charlie Munger, Lee Lu, and Bill Ackman, all legendary investors. Here are their top 4 holdings. So unfortunately, these are just, you know, Charlie Munger again. We know he passed away. That's sort of what sparked this. But again, he was big proponent of Wells Fargo. So there it is right there. Both him and Warren into BAC. We already know about Apple, Coca-Cola, and about as easy as it goes. That's Alibaba, by the way, I believe. So there we go. Shout out to Charlie. You liking Alibaba? Let's see where that one goes. We knew that that was a big holding of his, so that's surprising. It's still there. 16.4. Li Lu also liking BAC. Double alphabet, that must be a mistake there. Class A and B shares, I would assume, coming into play again with Berkshire. And then Chipotle, Restaurant Brands International. Shout out to Tim Hortons, Burger King and Popeyes, Hilton and Lowe's. So this guy's had the best success, Bill Ackman, out of all of them over the last 5 years. We had that study up before. So that's one kind of cool tweet that we had out right now as well. This is another one that I want everyone to just to focus on, because look at the stock market breadth. We always talk about the Magnificent Seven, but here we go, man. This is food for thought when you're at your dinner table tonight with your kids and family. At least this is what we talk about. It's not really. But 55% of the S&P stocks are now trading above their 200-day moving averages, the highest amount since September 1st. So as we head into the last quarter of, well, we're into it now, last quarter of the year, you can see that it's not just the Mag 7, man. It's 55% of the S&P 500 stocks are now above their 200-day moving average. So again, I just want to thank absolutely everybody. Ciao, Kat, as there she goes as well. We're going to go over roll call just real quick. Who is here, who is not? Well, I guess if you're not here, I won't be able to see you. But there we go. Oh, there we go. That's dope. LFG. What's up, Beatrice? Hope you're here. You will see me tomorrow, Adam DeLuz, Adam DeWin. Hopefully there's some more wins in there. What's up to Dees and Ponzi? You're always here. 4L Taz is here. Tesla and NVIDIA are the future. You know that those are 2 names I'm trying to buy as well. Shout out to TH. Beatrice, we already did that. It's roll call time, says Bears vs. Bulls. Mike Pena's here, Tammy's here, Elon's here, D-Loaf, HPDS, John, everybody's here with over 1,800 watching. Please make sure you hit that like button because we're still here tomorrow. Market will rest in peace tomorrow. It won't, unfortunately. It will probably be up again, but join me tomorrow as I'll give my plays in the morning time. And I did want to do this because I forgot about this yesterday. I'll go back quickly. But hey, without viewers, we don't have anything. That's why I'm here. That's why we're doing the show. Everybody's gone. Neil, Brendan, Adara, Sharif. But traders stay late, and you're staying late with me right now. Me, Fabian, and Obi. What up, Obi? As he's there in the background charting and everything as well. We love some Obi over here. Keenan, the Hayes Records, sweeping, Nick D. DJ Dubsy, what's up, DJ Dubsy? Spark Shop, Tisha Perkins, Papa D, the Ape Fathers, Jay's Passion, D. Westermeyer's in the building. Gus the Bus Phillips is here. Ian Rispetto, Alex IV, John Toomey, and Pavel all here as well. And shout out to my good friend Bears vs. Bulls. We couldn't do the show without you. Not RIP. He means rip. Okay. I don't know where the market's going to go, but hey, I am net long. Great turnout today from Snowflake and from CRM. I think it is upside. Let's chill. Yeah, hey man, if anyone wants to come into Toronto, let me know. Everyone's here with me. All right, let's go. I want to say a big shout out to everybody. What a crazy day it was today. We had some interesting intraday moves. Tesla was a fun one. I got rinsed on GameStop early, but got a little bit of revenge late on that one. Today was about a 50-50. I think I had more red names than I did green names, and unfortunately, I'm not going to slap a fail on it, but today will be my 6th red day of the month. Just being real. Some traders won't admit that to you, but I'm here to tell it to you. That's what it was. It's a good day. Any day is a good day. Whether or not you're long or short, make sure you join me live tomorrow at TraderTV.live. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Real traders are staying late, and so are you. So thank you so much for all of that. I'm Sean Katina. I love being here with you. Support us. We'll be back tomorrow. It's 8:30. This is the market recap. I'll see you then. Ciao.